Previously, in the Age of Ashes. The hitters finally got to the top of the tower and met with the wizard running things, and this powerful devil.
You stand before Brazokil Master Conjurer. You will not defeat me so simply. This thing is an absolute freaking nightmare of a creature. One hand cinches. You can see the blade biting in the bone of her shoulder. And on her left hand, the hand grabs and closes, completely severing Valia's left arm.
And a 34 to hit.
This connects with this thing's collapsed form. Rasheen, what happened?
But after the losses, they were finally on the trail of something, and know where the triad had gone.
That's the guy that sold that ice double thingy that y'all fall on top of the hill in that park after flying kites.
Oh, that explains where it come from.
Makes
Powerful
sense.
wizard can pull it together.
Summershade Quarry. It's a granite mine. It's quite far from here. About 100 miles to the south.
Way
Oh.
there.
I can't tell you.
But they were talking about it.
It's mentioned a few times. Is that
Resme, take care of Marshall. I want to try something. And she's gonna raise her shield and get ready for it because she knows it's coming. Schlade, and try to throw a holy blast up at him.
$33.
Concealment.
Concealment. DC 5, right?
I'm a mist child. It's DC 6.
DC 6?
Oh!
I can't even villain point that. That's like it's faded, though. Literal 5.
Oh, I spent a feat on it and everything.
The mist child gets missed!
Oh my god.
That's beautiful.
This concealment from your mist form elixir seeming to thwart its gaze here. Never have I seen a group so truly excited for a DC 5 flat check.
When is this ever going to come into play? Well, sir, I'll tell you when it comes into play.
Well,
It's a DC 6.
The secret about a racial ability that buffs your concealment check is it comes into play directly proportional to how often you concealed. So,
To be fair, we never thought I would pull off axe specialization. So
we're up to, I think, 3 axe specializations.
I know,
Yeah,
So-
Been doing stuff.
but I mean, it's written straight up that Axe gonna give it to you. So we knew
True.
it was gonna come up
this
eventually.
is true. So you never know. We might do the Mistchild thing a couple more times.
So last week,
The mischance.
as we left off, level 11, everyone now,
So much money at level 11. It's great.
Not really.
I mean,
literally get a new spell level.
Yeah, but like,
I was about
I'm
to
a
say
sorcerer. It's like, it is what it is.
you. and
Next level's a
Trishie-
big deal.
Yes.
Next
You
level's
are the weirdest fullcaster I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
No.
Disintegrate sucks.
I got.
Yeah, weird
You
casting.
are the weirdest fullcaster I've ever met.
It's no fireball, so it does suck and standard to the best spell in the book.
Yeah.
Which is shrink item.
Shrink item.
Yeah, totally shrink item.
I mean, honestly,
I
chain
can't-
lightning is better than
I
disintegrate.
can't protest shrink item. Anyway,
If I'm asleep, can you shrink item me because I'm an unattended object?
So Arcadis and I had a very long-winded conversation in the Discord about
11th
that.
level. We are now
Yes.
this fantastically focused party today.
I roll this much when I sneak attack now.
You're dumb.
And as we had ended our previous session last week, having finally tracked down Brazok Ilvaroshma, the conjurer responsible for a great number of Kintargos, as sort of was. Possibly, I was going to say the
Especially
majority,
all of
but pretty much all
Yeah.
of the problems that Kintargo has had at the hands of the Scarlet Triad, and even those that may at once have seemed briefly unrelated. Defeating him and the very large, very snippy devil,
Very terrifying.
very terrifying devil that you came along with. We learned that Varys, the Triad commander, who seemed to be at the head of all of this, is not in Kintargo. She's in Ravenel, the whole country,
kind of barely. And we'll actually be some distance to the south. Some days, if not even weeks, journeying. And we had just started making our way down the tower. The Bellflower Tiller, Eldranior Drought, freed to take care of all of the other captives that the slavers had taken. You, escorting Valia, who did not have a fantastic time in your previous encounter, back down out into the streets of Kintargo proper. And exactly there is where we pick up with the question, where is everybody headed as you leave Tennyson Tower?
Well, before I leave, I'm actually going to dart into a side room, pull out a change of clothes, get the bloody clothes off me, change into cleaner clothes. I'm going to pull Resume in with me to help me with this because my arm's still kind of sore.
Prestidigitation.
My arm is sore.
Valia's
My clothes are tore up. The thing did snip through the clothes.
Oh, good point. You do look a little worse for wear.
I look awful. I feel awful.
Well, let me fix you.
Is gonna hit the tavern and do his version of rejuvenating himself, and then he's gonna hit the war cage when he's nice and.
It was a good fight, lads. See you later. I'll have a drink.
To be fair, I think he earned it, considering he's.
Marshall is out. It's drink o'clock, my friends.
So,
I guess Roshin will take Valia to get some medical attention.
I believe you two, it was Eleanor who had largely been tending to
Yeah.
Valia. And she would still, I mean, she can walk, obviously. She is still quite weak, but she's been largely healed up by magic and your medical treatment now and is in no imminent danger of, well, bleeding out, or well, hopefully of passing out from blood loss or anything. But obviously she is still a bit shaken. The group of you, Marshall clearly absolutely unbothered, would be pretty torn to shreds. Your clothes, your armor, well battered and cut through, bloodied and beaten. Marshall has no concerns whatsoever. Drink a clock.
Even though actually it's more reason for me to drink is because I did go down and then got back up.
well,
It's like 10 in the morning. You went there in the morning.
He's a dwarf.
I'm a dwarf,
Now-
so that's breakfast to me, or second breakfast if you
liquid
want to get
second
technical.
breakfast.
now,
It is liquid bread.
The liquid diet.
now give me a minute, my darlings, because I have something here. This is why I bring this along. Not for you two. I can't do anything for you,
Marshall's
really.
gone. He's not even here. He's like, we good? We good?
But-
Cool, I'm out.
But girls, attend me.
What?
What?
She takes out her little shrunk item wardrobe,
Oh god, not this thing.
and it explodes out, and she opens it up.
Wardrobe.
I'm not wearing that dress right now.
By my stars, that's the most fantastic thing I ever did see.
This is a girl's best friend.
I can tell.
I must admit, it's impressive.
I will leave.
And
I'm not wearing a
useful.
cast iron corset.
Darling, I have other clothes in my closet.
I will leave the lot of you to this. I have things to attend to down in the lab.
That's right, you do.
I'm gonna leave the ladies to do the dresses.
You're headed back to the floor below,
Two
Trushi.
floors down, I think.
I think it was literally the floor right below where you'd face Brazak. So it's not
lot
so
of
much here.
half-done stuff there.
It's more like, I think they would have gone probably a little further because you still have all the rooms that Drought is working with on the top floor, the Alchemy Laboratory on the second, and there's a floor below that just has the auditorium. So you go another one below that to split up into your side rooms to try and find somewhere private. So you more or less just stopped and just did not follow the whole way.
Yep.
There is science to be done.
Yes.
But meanwhile, the three of you and Valia.
Well, now that it's just us girls, and you're half undressed, would you like to tell us something?
Depends on what I want to tell you.
Would you like to tell us what the mystery with the mask thing is?
Right.
Oh, actually, I'm quite curious about that too.
I do say I think it's hardly time to press a friend for personal details at the moment.
But we're doing girl things and getting dressed and putting on
Well,
clothing and makeup.
Oh, I'm putting on.
In the book there, it says that's the perfect time to actually bring this stuff up.
She's correct. I have the book.
It's not in the book.
It's totally in the book.
It's totally not in the book, and I agree with her. I'm putting on a clean dress. We're getting her to go see proper medical attention.
She saw proper medical attention.
She
It's called
saw-
magic.
Oh, magic don't fix everything, dear.
Of course it does. Don't say things like that to me.
Magic fixes an awful lot of things.
Well, not everything.
Most things. Unless there's something you'd like to tell us.
Well, as far as I can see so far, and I mean no slight against your abilities, of course, Miss Glatterman, but I don't see the magic as of yet to reattach my arm. So,
Give me...
Unfortunately, quite a bit beyond my abilities, but we could take it to the local temple. I actually have some connections there.
I'm
Which is to say
afraid
I've
to-
met them and spoke nicely.
to my understanding, this borders more on the boundary of proper miracles. The things you would hear of in, well, I don't know, ancient rites or storybook fairy tales. I haven't heard much of magic reattaching entire limbs to people before.
My hair is the stuff of storybook fairy tales.
No
She does spend an awful lot of time on it.
seriousness. I think, Eleonora, was it?
That is correct.
I promise, when there is a moment less pressured, I will do better to commit these names to memory properly. But again, today has been much of a whirlwind, and I'm doing my best. Forgive me for any slights. We should ready ourselves as to not raise any proper suspicion in town, but then attend to things, no?
Well, we have to speak to the council, and we have to attend Magical Girl High School.
I'm really not entirely convinced that the council is really going to be able to help as much.
And pardon again my saying, I feel as if I'm just the continual bearer of negativity, but the Silver Council does have a lot on their plates. I don't know if it'll be so simple to get a hold of them and to get audience.
After all, they're worried about that whole war with Endel thing, which isn't actually happening.
Yes,
It takes up a lot of their time.
I feel like that is why we should have somebody who has a lot of respect and reputation in this community talk to them.
Are you thinking of asking Lady Goric to go and do it for us?
Precisely.
She might be up for the task. We go approach her.
Yes, I was thinking that that would be something that we could do. Once, we have a closer relationship with her, I'd like to get to know her first before I go asking favors.
I'm unfamiliar with this, Lady Gora.
You're gonna love her. She's so scary and awesome.
She runs a school for girls in the area.
She's right terrifying.
Oh, this is the mistress of the finishing school you'd spoken of earlier.
Yep.
We're gonna
very
go
same.
get finished. That came out wrong, didn't it?
I do wonder perhaps if you're of right mind for what a finishing school is, Miss Glatterman, but still I feel we're all a fair bit elder for that, no?
Well, for one thing, the lady actually gave us direct invitations directly from her hand. For another thing, I do believe that perhaps Resme doesn't quite understand what a finishing school is, because she told me what a finishing school was, and then we went there, and it was very different from what she told me.
Look, there are
it-
traditional finishing schools, and then there are strange magic people finishing schools, apparently. I went to the more traditional one. I learned things. I then purposefully forgot them.
If it's anything akin to the experiences of my own childhood, I am far remiss to return. But I cannot say that teachings are not helpful.
There, you look lovely. She puts you in a something rose-colored, more like a darker pink with a little bit of red in it. Sort of a midline bodice. She put your hair up, and she kept the skirts light and frothy so that you had plenty of room to move around.
Oh, this is absolutely perfect. Now, if you don't mind, I got a bar to go see.
You're going to go drinking?
Go and drink with Marshall.
Yeah, I
he knows
gotta-
quite a lot of them. He's only been here for a little bit, but he's become quite well acquainted with it.
All right, now, if you don't mind, she holds up her hand. Her whole hand is shaking. I'm a little bit still shaken up after the whole incident up top.
Right, the grievous injuries.
Grievous injuries, seeing dead people's faces and the faces of devils, body parts floating around a giant thing.
You saw what?
I saw my mother's face and the face of those devil things that y'all fighting out in the main hall.
Why, that's horrifying.
Oh, it's absolutely terrifying.
Creatures were unsettling, to be certain.
I didn't see anything.
Never seen anything quite like them.
I hope I never see anything like them again.
If that's what a devil is, I almost hold pity to those sent to such an afterlife, regardless of their tasks in life.
Well, that's awful. I'm so sorry. I had no idea you all went through that. Did you?
For a bit. I've seen my father not bad enough in my dreams, so seeing him there wasn't such a shock.
She'll give you a big hug.
Still, this tower may be long since forgotten by a dwindling academy, but though we shouldn't linger too long just on one of the off chance. That was quite a racket.
Yes, perhaps we should leave.
The 8th story of an abandoned tower still, but we would want to have to explain all of this to the town guards.
What
Not
are
the
we,
meeting
though?
with the Silver Council that you were hoping for.
What are we, though?
Are we? I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
Well, I guess my point being that we're effectively here unofficially, you might say. One of the advantages of fighting a shadow war is you don't actually have to really write any after-action reports afterwards.
Well,
Perhaps I'm being a bit too complicated.
I understand
I suggest
that.
we walk away and just don't come back and don't tell anyone we were here.
oh, well, of course. that was-
Seconded.
Well, largely what I was suggesting. Not that we run screaming from the building like our hair's aflame, but that we leave before, well, perhaps someone comes to investigate or more of the Triad show up.
No one's going to come in. There's a velvet rope across the front. It said closed on it.
That stops most folk. Present
Not those
company
with
excluded.
purpose.
Also, if anyone comes in here, all they're going to see is 4 girls dressing up. I mean, anything could mean that.
And they'd have to climb up 3 flights of stairs to see that, and at which point we'd be perfectly within our rights to beat them senseless.
Especially since we're not put together as we should be. It's rude of them to come in without knocking.
Exactly so. And once that happens, they're not likely to climb up the rest of the stairs. They won't be in any condition, for one thing.
You find surprisingly similar companies, Miss Clatterman. You remind me a lot of, what was it, the farmer friend of yours, Mr. Bates?
I remind you of Mr. Bates?
No, but Mr. Sheen here. Similar humors, if nothing else.
Probably
But-
because of our simple backgrounds.
I think you're prettier than Buford.
Oh.
Kind of you to say so.
A lot of folk are prettier than you. Either way, I'll see y'all later.
Goodbye. I'm going to figure her out one of these days.
But before you go, when will we see you again?
Oh, come down to the tavern for a drink. I'll buy you around.
All right.
Which tavern is?
Well, the one
I've had
one
2
closest.
dozens, right to say.
There's one close to where y'all are staying, right?
We are, there's actually one inside of the place we were staying. Would you care
Alright,
to meet us there? Let's see here. That would be the...
Oh, that's right. Always struggling after dark.
The Obelisk. I have notes. Thank you.
I don't.
Of all people.
You just got spanked.
I was helping.
I just figured
The
Marshall's
innkeeper's
gonna.
name's Renair, in fact. I wrote that down too.
Wow.
Wow.
Big brain plays.
But
Uh,
yes, Yolubilis.
But when she work? She told you what day she's there.
Oh, she did.
Whoa!
Whoa, pop quiz.
Pulling it out.
That's true. That's true. All right, that's fair. That's fair. I could make an answer up, but I'll just
Should
go
I
ahead and
say
take
it?
the L.
I feel like it.
Got it.
Phrasing.
Got him.
So, with Eleonora also departing into town, what?
If he was playing an investigator, he would have written down the days. Even.
Odd.
The 3 of you, Resme, Rasheen, and Valia, not much more to do in this tower, and to your recommendation, I imagine you'll be leaving fairly subtly, as if nothing had even happened, leaving an actual swath of corpses behind you, including a giant devil robot monster, which
And me.
is just something that someone else can deal with at a later occasion.
The lizard
Once
and
the
I.
school gets their janitorial budget together.
They're gonna have a difficult time renovating the upper floors of this tower.
Just out of idle curiosity, because it just kind of occurs to Roisin and Nick at the same time right now. Those snippy bits that robot devil thing had, what are those snippy bits made out of?
As far as you can tell, they are a strange alloy, not terribly far from traditional steel. They don't immediately seem to be exceptional.
Okay.
But again, it's not like you can exactly kind of glance at a metal and tell if there's anything insanely unique about it. But I mean, it's not clearly not adamantium.
But I'd recognize
It's not
cold
mithril or
iron and
silver.
adamantium
Yeah,
and
like
that stuff.
it is a hardened metal as far as you can tell, if not literally steel, near functionally identical to it. And if it has any kind of strange properties, they are not immediately apparent.
Okay. So
Do you
it's good enough. Roshin's not going to start like hacking bits of it apart to cart to a crafter. Or
Well, do you want me to just shrink it down and we can bring it with us and you can study it later?
You get a mechanical frog spider demon to your list of tiny things that you keep in your bag.
You never know; it might actually come in handy.
It's true. I mean, honestly, like when I'm at a party and I'm just bewildered about what to talk about, I know that this is what I pull out as a conversation starter.
I don't want to be here anymore. Yeet. And suddenly an interlocutor just interlocutor corpse in the center of the room.
Not preserved either.
Nope.
Well, the fleshy bits of it
Got burned
pretty much
away.
burnt away into ash instantly at the strike of the good magic. So it is basically just bloodied metal now.
So
Just
we're.
looks like a murder weapon.
Oh,
I'm going to make with the magic. Everyone back up.
But you're making it smaller. Why should you have to back up for that?
Because I have to make large hand gestures. It's expected.
Oh yes, of course. I understand.
So she'll begin the 10-minute process.
You've got-
Flapping your hands around for 10 minutes.
And Severin will be flapping his too. He thinks it's necessary.
Quite a ritual to perform. As with this 10-minute incantation, again, returning the body. Oh, it's so, with the size of the thing, it doesn't matter. It just becomes yay big. It
Yep.
doesn't matter how big the original item
Great
was.
spell.
I mean, it has a limit, but like only technically. You can't shrink a house. That's pretty much the line for shrink item.
You could shrink a small house.
You could shrink a small house.
It's 80 bulk.
A shed.
You could shrink a small house.
There's,
like a
I'm pretty sure
cottage.
there's a cubic feet line too. It's I'm
There
pretty sure
is.
it's 80 bulk or some amount of cubic feet.
Like 20, I think.
Anyway,
That's not. That's like an outhouse.
that's a small house.
20 cubic feet.
No, sorry, 20 feet. A cube, 20 feet on a
Oh,
side.
okay. I was like 20 cubic feet's like I don't even know that that's an outhouse. Like that's pretty.
Yeah.
20-foot
I actually
side.
want to go reread it.
cube
No,
is-
Like, you
I
could
might
take
be wrong.
this room.
As much you could
And shrink item
this-
everything
Our
in this
entire Pathfinder studio. We shrink items and deployed at a moment's notice.
See? Look. Now it's a chess piece.
I'm already gone.
Now aren't
You
we
were there
glad?
casting for 10 minutes. Eleonora is gone.
You see,
I was caught up to Marshall already.
10 minutes spell.
I'll add that to.
as you walk
The
into
things
the
in my
bar,
bag.
you already see like the barmaids like struggling and you just hear loud dwarf noises.
Loud dwarf noise.
Dwarf noises.
I don't.
What parse are those?
I don't. I'm.
Grunting, groaning, chugging.
If I have to describe them to you, you don't want to know.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like leaving that there is probably the better course of action.
Probably something akin to steel wool on a glass.
Or steel bars wrapped all around you.
Plus being
Or
barbarian.
ear-shattering belching.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should be more specific. Dwarf noises and dwarf smells that are occurring from the bar.
He
So
is not a
Roshin.
pleasant drinking partner.
No, he is not.
I'm entertaining. I didn't say I was,
So, I imagine, Marshall, did you head back to the Elobolus, or is there a different tavern in town that has been more to your liking?
I probably hanged out there for the main one for a little bit at the inn, and then
So that'd be where Eleonora would
Yeah.
catch up to you
Yep.
in the...
because that's the only one I really know. Otherwise, there's not too many taverns I would really feel like going to.
And, Trishik, as you are upstairs, still remaining in the tower alone to try to finish up some of the experiments the alchemists had going, some of their projects, their productions.
Worst case scenario, if reinforcements come along, I'm the only one with a get out of jail free
Worst
card.
case scenario, shut up, I'm Trishik.
See, this cape says I'm leaving. Bye.
I don't even think you need to worry about the cave says you're leaving. What are they going to do?
What,
See
see you?
with their
To be fair, the tower is mostly dark.
You're
so-
literally everyone's imaginary friend.
Who leaves them very real knives stuck between their ribs.
So as you're up there working, like I said, there's 3 tables scattered throughout the laboratory that seem to be operating completely different projects, even in entirely different fashions, as if all of the alchemists had sort of just been doing literally whatever the hell they wanted on their various tables. They didn't seem to be working collectively toward anything, and there's no really overarching navigation or connection between these various setups. So as you go to try to work toward them, one of them in particular seems to be a batch of a strange poisonous extract from a local flower that grows not in Kintargo, but not too much further inland from the Ravenel coast. That would certainly take the least amount of effort to wrap up, and you figure you can probably do that within the morning, even a little bit of the afternoon, with a good enough crafting check.
Well, I'm a master with a plus 17.
That's probably a good enough crafting check. What do they have?
Sounds like it.
You are actually worse at this than they are, but that is kind of their whole job.
26. Which,
So-
if we don't have session rerolls.
I was about
Oh,
to
can
say
we have
that.
some?
Because I was gonna say, if you would take this coin and I don't have the
I got
coin.
this big old stack of villain points from Link 1429 for the show even started. And I was so excited about which I got to put on the screen by the way, which I was so excited about my own new pile of fancy beat the PCs to death wealth that I forgot I was supposed to give you coins too.
You are so selfish.
I guess you guys can have session rerolls. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you these. I'm gonna give this to you, and then
just
you're gonna
gonna
say I get a 27, and you're gonna hand it back to me.
Okay. All right, I got a 27.
Thank you,
There
sir.
you go.
Thank you. Come again.
This is what part where you reroll your die.
Reroll it.
Oh, there's a
I
script.
thought I got a 26. I thought you were saying just give me
Oh.
the coin and say I got a
Oh,
27.
I thought you 20. I was just off. No, I thought 26 is what
No,
you
I
did.
rolled a 9 with a plus 17.
Solid.
That
So,
is
Way better.
that is
that's
categorically better.
double. So,
35.
35.
36 actually.
35.
No, 35.
You do have access to a. If you don't have an item bonus on your crafting check, the complete access to
37.
all of these crafting laboratories here would certainly merit a +1 from expanded alchemist tools. And as a matter of fact, you also feel that you could just kind of scavenge some bits and bobs from
Bits
this
and bobs.
to your to create your own semi-portable expanded alchemist tools
I have
that you
one
can
already.
bring along with. So you already have an item bonus on your crafting check,
Yes.
then you dingleberry. Okay. Why do you make this hard?
Why are you like this?
I was enjoying the bips and bobs.
I think he legitimately enjoys the face you make when you suffer.
So is you. this is why we have a growing freaking mini graveyard over there. It's not like the face on your look on your face, but like, kill your characters. I know it makes me sad. But,
We did it, Chad. We broke Squid.
you're able.
It's only the first time today. Don't worry.
It's been what 30 minutes? Like, come on.
Dude, we haven't even started school yet.
The intro. You're able to finish up a fairly large brewing batch that they had going throughout their apparatus on this table, which is going to put out 8 doses of a poison that, without local access to this flower, you figure would, well, be relatively impossible to brew. It is an interesting extract that you have found. And
Would I be able to get the recipe as well?
yes, but you would have a very difficult time crafting it outside of Kintargo. But putting it together with all of their notes and everything, you would obviously, by the time this is distilled, be fully aware of exactly how this is going to work. It is a potion that the simple vapors are powerful enough to do the work. It's not even a potion that is meant to be consumed fully. The liquid just produces this aromatic, almost odorless gas.
Would this
Which
be the
is-
same as the metal containers that we already found?
Probably, but you haven't identified those yet.
Yeah, so I don't know what it is until I'm making it.
Right. But with this, you would be able to definitely identify what those containers were. Those are almost certainly the same thing. And this inhaled potion is going to make the imbiber or the victim very slow to think, inflicting almost like either like a stage above a drunken stupor. It's not going to do any physical damage to them. This potion or this poison is never going to be lethal, like, unless astronomical concentrated doses were applied to somebody. But it is going to make them feel physically weak and feel pretty dumb. Mechanically, as you put this together, you're going to be aware this is going to make them both enfeebled and stupefied. And it can go up to a pretty hefty amount of enfeebled and stupefied with prolonged, severe exposure. You also know that it is not extremely fast acting. It is an inhaled poison. It's not like something you're going to whip out in combat anyway. But it does typically take a couple of minutes for the effects to really start to set in. It is, however, relatively long lasting, and a decent dose of it can leave somebody addled for a full day.
Does it have a name so I can put it on my character?
Addlebrain.
Okay.
Now you're just making stuff up.
I am not. Addlebrain.
So, like, basically, if the slavers wanted to, like, make a cargo of slaves really pliable for a day, this would be perfect.
This would be the perfect poison
poison.
for that situation.
Big brain.
To expose, hypothetically, a group of fairly well-built men and women they had captured
That were just
while they
a couple store
kept them
full.
upstairs so that they would be more easy to manage and take care of.
Noticing.
This is not in the app.
That is because it is in
The book?
The book.
Okay.
this
Well,
is this is actually from Tomorrow Must Burn. This is a new poison.
I will just write that down then.
There's probably a campaign-specific drop-down on that.
We'll find it later.
Yeah. So Addlebrain, 8 doses, and I have the formula.
Yep, and you would have the formula, which would be very difficult to make elsewhere. That creation, since it was mostly done, you'll be able to wrap up today. But the other 2 stations, trying to finish up whatever exactly it was they were doing, is certainly going to take you some downtime days back here in the tower. Looking through the other 2, one of them is relatively simple and quite obvious what it was they were working on, as it's, well, sort of hard
Is it drugs?
to hide the scorpions that they were extracting the scorpion venom from. That one's pretty straightforward. So you're relatively confident. Let me find it real quick. That one of these tables is distilling some giant scorpion venom. And can I find this? Giant
With Google?
scorpion venom. I am searching eating Google. I think it's just literally the. Oh, it is quite. Okay, well, I just found the bestiary entry. It's quite literally the poison that a giant scorpion has. While that is not a particularly potent poison, it is one that is distilled from giant scorpions from the south, the Thuvio or Osirian. It is lethal when distilled into doses to use on people. This is more put on your weapon and kill people with the poison.
This is more probably sell it because it's not nearly.
Yeah,
as
but it's
dangerous.
not nearly as powerful as the Addlebrain and.
I'm currently holding wyvern poison.
Yeah, giant scorpion poison is not super duper impressive. You figure that one would take you 1 day to wrap up. It's pretty simplistic.
It's good money.
The other one, you are unsure.
The other one's going to take time using inventor.
And and it's also going to take you some time to even figure out what exactly it is. That one seems to be much earlier on in the process.
Okie doke.
So Roshin and Resme and Valia, as you make your way out of the tower, you go where?
I'd like to go to Lady Gora's and tell her how everything turned out. I feel like we owe her that, if nothing else.
Fair enough. I'd also like to go ahead and stop by the Temple of Desna. They were a bit helpful earlier, and I'd like to give them a bit of an update. And it never hurts to go and have people ooh and ah over your battle wounds afterwards.
Sure. Shall we go there first?
Very good.
So heading out to that Temple of Desna that you'd been to before. The two of you easily find your way inside that open atrium. Sky, and early enough in the morning, sun pouring down from above. It would be on a wheel day morning, not terribly busy, probably even less occupied than it had been the last time you'd come by. The Desna temples are far more busy around sunrise, sunset, and the late evening, not too long after. But still, someone would tend to you relatively quickly. Another one of the many robed priests constantly bobbing about, welcoming you and asking if there's anything they can help you find or any services they could lead to you.
I was hoping if I could talk to the head priestess here. She helped me a bit earlier with some supplies for hunting demons in town, and I wanted to report my success and thank her for her contributions.
Oh, well, that's certainly fantastic news that I'm sure she'll be glad to hear. Please, one moment. I will see if she is available.
Of course.
And after a brief couple-minute wait, the elderly priestess would be returned back out to the courtyard to meet with you once more. Looking up at Rasheen, with a smile, obvious recognition, you are a pretty noteworthy human being.
Easiest.
You are not difficult to re-identify or remember. And she comes up with nod. My acolyte tells me that's you found success. This what we were able to provide you.
Exactly the case, and much again appreciate what you're able to provide for me. I wanted to stop by and let you know that everything worked out okay, even though it's a bit of a hard fight. And we actually found that the person behind it all was a vile conjurer working with a slavery ring. He did not come quietly, unfortunately, but at the very least, Cantargo's problems with devils, ghosts, and hauntings should be over with.
I have heard many troubling and conflicting rumors in past days, weeks even. So if truly they were the product of some vile sorceries inflicted from on high, then not only will I thank you, but the town surely as well. You make Cantargo a brighter place, under shining stars. But you need not thank me or any of our acolytes for humble assistance. We simply provided the tools. The tools provided to us by the grace of Desna and her magics and the conduit of our very worship here.
Of course. And express an appreciation for the tools being available and your lady for providing them.
Oof.
And Roshin is showing up with, like, cut open armor, bloody tabard, and all
But
of
you
this.
don't seem bothered at all.
No.
And I mean, they do
Nope.
run a...
Resume looks like a mess. Like, Resume has actually not gotten healed at all. And Resume looks like she's
about to pump.
like, Resume looks like, I mean, she's not about to, like, fall over or anything, but she definitely looks like she's in fairly bad shape.
After everything, I was probably the one in the best condition. Because I only
It
got
turns
hit
out
once.
hiding in the corner is great for your health.
It did half my health in one hit.
It's pretty snippy, yeah.
I wasn't about to get hit again, but
No, I learned the first time. Bye.
Have fun, nerds.
That's She nods again. I can see that you... Well, you seem very much to have hurried here with some haste. Did you seek healing? More of a magical aid, perhaps? The comfort that the Dream Warden could give you?
We are a bit stretched on our resources for today. It might not be amiss.
Well,
After all, it wouldn't do to present yourself to our honored guests that we'd like to go see with your hair all messed up and
my
a bit of blood on your dress.
hair is in fine condition, and I changed my dress, but that does not change the wounds beneath it. And
Priorities, you understand. Hair comes first.
I just realized we killed the rumor.
Oh, that we did. No, the rumors might persist, actually, but we actually took care of what was behind it. That was well done.
I guess some comfort wouldn't go amiss. Perhaps a cup of tea.
Tea can,
Perhaps binding the wounds a bit too. would be
tea
helpful.
can readily be fetched. But, well, my hands may be old and weary. Several of the acolytes in our fine temple can tend to you with skills that I once held great pride in. If it is magical aids and comforts that you seek, or perhaps even bound within further scrolls, we can again be of use as we can. I do not doubt the services you claim to have served to Kintargo. You wear your pride, as you do your scars. It is as obvious as the sun rising now above this very sanctum.
Very kind of you to say so. And scars and pride, one and the same in many cases. I suppose we don't have to. If you're up for just having a seat and rest, and
Yeah. Perhaps you'd be willing to look at something that we actually found that is within the purview of your goddess while we're here.
Well, of course. If it is something that you wish translated or...
Well, it's actually something... We know what it does. It's just a little odd, and I've never seen one before, so I wanted to see what you thought of it.
Well, you've certainly piqued an old woman's curiosity now.
She'll pull out the Dreamstone.
And
I suppose Roshin will pull out the mate that came with it as well.
so as you take these out, her eyes almost visibly bright. I mean, they are both engraved with a sort of Desnan iconography. The one that you now bear, literally with the symbol of the butterfly prominent across the center of it. She takes it from you, and she holds it very kind of gently in her wrinkled hands. This... I believe I need no magics or detections, divinations to understand that you've come across a Dreamstone. These are rare these days, and stories are to be believed, but much less so in times past. And she shifts it over kind of to one hand, still just sort of gently running her finger across the tracing of the butterfly atop it. But if this is truly a functioning Dreamstones, they are powerful artifacts. Some say once from magic, handed down by the goddess herself. If you possess this and you did not come across it this very morning, I'm sure you're already familiar with its purposes.
The provenance was more of interest to me. I like to appreciate things for their history, as well as what they can do.
Well, moreover to the fact, though, is in the past couple of nights, it hasn't seemed to be working as well for as it used to.
I understand. So you have had this for some time in your possession?
Oh, a couple of weeks.
Not even that long, perhaps. Maybe a week and a half.
It's so difficult to tell.
The days tend to run together.
People trying to kill you tend to make things go faster.
I can tell from Moors and just the wounds you bear now is that, well, how you carry what would be to many such a great pain with little complaints tells this is not your first brush with battle. But these are interesting. It is possible that its magic may wane, much as the moon does in the night sky.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe this appears to be one quite old, from ancient times. I believe, even just looking at the designs on this, and the prayer included, it is elven in make. Of course, Desna herself, a god very much appropriated by humanity for her purposes, her domain, her demeanor.
Like
the
so
gifts
many.
that she bestows. But there were not many of the ancient elven pantheon that were so readily accepted. Desna, one of the few. Calistria, another.
Yes, Alceta, the goddess my family worships, is not often mentioned.
But this, wherever it was found from, may simply have run its course. But if you wish and you will allow it, this is an item of interest enough to me that I do wish to peruse its depths myself. For no cost, no charge, no woes of your own. Your simple allowance for me to explore what a Dreamstone this ancient has to offer is all the payment I ask.
I should love to have your opinion, and I had hoped that you would find it. I thought it might mean something to you.
You're very kind. Thank you again for your help.
Learn from what is different. It is a common aphorism of our people, and this.
I'm different.
If you have come across this stone, most certainly, and you had another.
Yes, indeed. Of a different color. This one being pink versus the blue. But the design seems similar enough.
Similar in that they both bear Disney iconography. This one more one of the heralds. This is the Gleaming Wing. It is one of her, I believe, archons. Are the more standard understandable titles. One of those that is said to travel to and fro from the night sky itself down to the dreaming minds of the most devout. Deliver them their evening's rest. Their dreams, messages. A messenger much unlike a courier to Contago, but for the divines and the realms.
I'm familiar with the concept.
Please. The sun does shine brightly so early in the morning. If you can take these to the archives, and I will examine them there.
You're very kind.
Thank you.
And she would lead the pair of you back once more into the same library where they had fetched the couple of scrolls. Well, the scroll with which you had shadow yeeted a demon back from whence he came.
Money.
Insensitive.
We bought 2. I've still got 1.
I cast 100 gold!
Yeah. Bag of money, sock, wham! Down he goes.
Very effective money sock.
I said to hell with money and took the spell.
So, as you head back there, we'll hop over here to Marshall and Eleonora, who after you've met up in Eulobolus Inn. What's going on with you two?
Well, first
How
thing,
are you looking? By the way?
Well,
What time is it?
I was just fair.
It's Tuesday. at least.
I was pretty messed up. I will say that. So Marshall's covered in all sorts of cuts, bruises,
It is
and
his
everything else. But
Well,
Marshall being Marshall, he doesn't care because he's got food and he's got booze. That's all he cares about, and that's his way of, patching
Coping.
himself up. So probably Eleanor's walking into very, very questionable things happening at the bar / tavern.
doesn't even phase her. She walks on by, goes up to her room, comes back down. Actually, before she walks up, she gets a shot of whiskey, then goes up to her room.
Do you have a place in Eulobolus too?
Yeah, I said when we first came here, I said this is where I was staying at the same tavern.
Right. You're
Yeah,
the same man. Right.
yeah, same man. What a coinkydink.
What a coinky thing.
How
The
convenient.
thing that would only happen to a party of protagonists.
Or stalkers.
She's actually gonna spend some time up there tending to herself because she actually never tended to her own wound, so she's still bleeding. And after that,
Everything hurts and I'm dying.
everything hurts and I'm dying. She's gonna come back down to Marshall. She's not wearing the mask. She just has her face covered in bandages. She's wearing very plain clothes at this point. She puts this bar soap in front of him.
And of course he just looks at her. Oh, what's that for? You gonna, nibble on it, whittle on it? I don't know.
Well, it's for you when you're done drinking and you sober up a little bit. You smell the high heavens.
Smell like a dwarf.
You smell worse than a dwarf.
Have you not been around Rasheen?
She smells of blood and viscera, and you can get used to that. I cannot get used to your musk.
In the what?
Like, what? It's like, well, you know.
Here.
A sneeze comes from these two.
Hush.
With that comment, Marshall just proceeds to take a huge bite of a raw onion in front of you and then farts.
I have. All right.
It's early in the morning, but by the time that you get here, Marshall's the only person sleeping.
Yeah, I can
Right
tell.
there, while needing to bring a decent amount of drinking food, is stood like opposite back corner,
I'm gonna.
as far as possible, still being around and available.
Dwarves are like onions.
Almost
we have
watching in
layers.
horror.
This is quite a display.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. I can't.
Clearly, you cannot know.
Well,
Just keep eye contact.
when do you like take patrons out of your bar? Like when do you evict them?
You just
Like at what point?
looks up. But I apologize, Miss Eleonora. But could sir perhaps, I don't know, keep a little more to yourself? I have noticed that you drove most of the rest of the morning patrons off, but just kind of looks down.
Have you ever? I got a question for you, Marshall.
What's that?
Have you ever tried just tavern hopping?
That's a thing?
Well, yeah, you just go down the street. Every tavern you stop in, get a couple drinks, and you keep on going.
Oh, that's just after supper drink.
Quarter moon down the road. They have a fantastic mead.
Well, I'll finish this cake and then I'll hop over there.
I tried.
They run a brewery just outside the city walls, I believe.
He just picks up the entire keg and just starts. I said, I'll finish the keg and then I'll hop over there. Intimidate check.
Give me the coin.
You know what? Worth it. Worth it.
Bartender.
Still better. 29.
Apologies, sir. I
Glug. Glug. Glug.
Well, I was going to discuss the possibilities on putting a performance here for your patrons tonight, but right now
What's
I
that?
cannot stand the stench.
What's sad is, as you see this, you actually see the wounds on Marshall slowly close up with every glug of alcohol.
That's disturbing.
powered by booze.
I'll be back in a couple hours when he leaves. To discuss some business. When I'm feeling better, I'm gonna go get a drink down the road. What'd you say it was?
Quarter moon.
All right, thank you. Now just put a gold piece on the counter. I'll be back. That's for later.
Of course, Miss Eleonora. And she'll take it, pocket it, and retreat immediately back in the corner. Trying now, like, stare at the floor on the opposite side of the counter from Marshall. Not look his direction. Not connect. Look down here.
As I'm walking
Hope
off,
he goes away.
I heard
If
a
it
long.
makes you feel better,
Hey,
Marshall,
please.
as Marshall puts the keg down, goes, you know what? Since you've been so nice. Sack of gold. As for the damages, walks out.
Insert appropriate cost of damages down. Plus tip.
Yes, plus tip, because she's been surprisingly nice. However, I got a little mad when she's like, oh, it's outdoor. Like, listen, let the dwarf finish the keg. Let him finish it.
I'm drinking, lady. I'll tell you when I'm done.
So you two are drinking the rest of your morning, and I'm sure into the afternoon away. He's working to finish his dose of Battle Brain. The Desmond Priestess takes some time finishing and kind of investigating the pair of Dreamstones here. And as she looks both of them over, with her various castings, her machinations, occasionally bringing through an acolyte for a pinch of incense or several strange that appear to be divining implements. One, a small forked rod, one that appears to be not much more than a simple wooden wand, barely even really polished to be straight, little more than a stick, really. And she nods, telling you throughout that the more she learns about the objects themselves. This, surprisingly enough, given their apparent age, these both seem to be fully functioning Dreamstones. The pair of them still holds the weight of magic, perhaps not what they were imbued with originally, but should certainly serve their purpose. Either of them, born on your person overnight when you sleep, should allow simple, pleasant rest and fine dreams cultivated in the Desmond Gardens themselves.
Can you eat them?
Can I? She seems like not disturbed at all by the fact that you're bird types.
Are they edible?
They eat some, little fellow. Well, they are very much stones imbued with the magic of Desna herself. I suppose perhaps a giant, a troll maybe, could eat them, but
But if you can't eat them, what's the point?
well, little bird, there are great many things in this world that serve greater purpose than to please the palate. But a life so simple as one, I, in some ways, envy.
My life is not simple, but I thank you very much for being so respectful of me.
I think Nick is getting more fun out of your play than you are.
Well, because he gets to play with it.
Ignore
He's
him,
turned his
please.
back on us.
He's upset. He's been trying to get into my pocket and peck away at them for a week
A
now.
very opinionated fellow, he seems to be.
You have no idea.
But either of these Dreamstones still seem to hold their enchantments. It is interesting to see how differently, how eloquently almost, they are woven. The magics, having perused the depths of them, the lattices of various layers of enchantments across them, there is no doubt in my mind they are authentic. These Dreamstones predate even the worship of many of the gods that still walk throughout this city. Abadar himself, or very much so a Rodin. These
Well-
are ancient elven magics permeated through these stones, and they still hold their luster to this very day.
Fascinating.
They come from a very ancient elven place.
Well then, if the magics are so strong and they're still working, why haven't you been getting a good night's rest?
I don't know.
I'll have to keep an eye on you tonight.
I've been having horrible nightmares, but I recently lost my twin brother. It was very painful to me.
A Dreamstone is a powerful artifact, but it is not infallible. They are aids to help one with the situation, to lull them comfortably into pleasant rest. But they are not impossible to overcome. And such deep personal traumas, if you hold them so close to your heart and they weigh so heavy on your mind, it may be more than a simple stone, however enchanted, can ward free.
But you had no issue sleeping the week prior.
I know, but I'm a person who likes to ignore their pain for as long as possible, so I'm not particularly surprised that it's coming upon me when I'm not awake. It's when my guard is down.
These wounds that you bear and the stories that you have told me of your triumphs, as I would, with many years of experience, bet comfortably on my assumption being correct. I have experienced traumas similar before. Is it not impossible then that you, well, dealing with devils, demons, and the conjurers of the like, bear some stain of magic upon yourself? Some curse, some enchantment that the Dreamstone is powerless to ward off.
Such a thing would be possible, but how would we decide what it is? It's beyond our knowledge to be able to find it, if it is there.
That would be difficult. I am admittedly unsure. Perhaps, Miss Resme, if it would please you, and if you truly seek closure on this issue, this evening you could rest here, with your Dreamstone, or without, but under the watchful eyes of the stars, the goddess, and the acolytes of this very church.
I should be honored to take your hospitality. And I would very much appreciate your help. I'm in such pain and I don't know why.
We will not seek to run you dry as other religions may. her services. I will see what I can arrange for overnight staffing and return to you with a hopefully reasonable sum.
I'll be staying with her as well.
I am unsurprised. You seem a very dedicated soul, Roshin.
Well, we're practically sisters.
We've been through a lot together.
As much as a parent. By the very state as you stand before me.
Yes, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for your help and your hospitality.
Thank you.
As far as maybe someone with a skill, we could perhaps get her patched up a bit.
Of course. We have healing magics available. As the goddess graces us with her blessings, so too do we pass them on to those in need. And she would definitely be able, if you wanted her to cast some healing spells on you, they could do that here for whatever the standard spell casting.
Yeah,
cost
not a
which
problem.
We can figure that out later.
Sure.
I'm sure it's not much.
We'll buy a whole bunch of level 1s because it's more efficient to do it that way cost-wise.
And realistically, that's what most of the acolytes are going to be, are a bunch of little level 1 acolytes.
There you go.
So for simplicity's sake, if you want to just get like 13 health per whatever casting a first level heal, you could run through. I mean, they've got it's a pretty large city and a fairly large church with plenty of acolytes and magic ready to attend you.
Perfect.
Just enough to get me into fighting form. I don't need to be all the way up, back up to full. I
Looks
can.
like, well, I think 5
You can just figure out how many we can figure
don't worry about it.
the
We'll figure it
actual,
out later.
amount of it later. I'm sure buying first level castings is not going to break the bank of an 11th level party. You can spend like $8 on this.
Yeah, I think we'll be good.
I think you'll be fine. Well, I don't want to look
Yeah.
up specific spellcasting costs at the moment.
We'll do banking later.
Yeah, banking we can handle off stream.
Perhaps
Speaking of banking, how many of those other metal containers did we find last week?
Believe
You have it written down.
So, I do have them written down because I am bad in my head about writing things down. Except when it comes to the specific work schedule of that one innkeeper at one time. You're right, that was entirely my fault for not getting that.
Got him.
All right, so we have 4 doses of mysterious poison. We have 2 mystery potions, which we have not identified. We have a thurible,
Durable, probably.
that we haven't identified.
Strange nick noises.
I know, right?
Yeah, I thought it was
like that
I was
dwarf.
pretty sure you had 4 of them.
And we also have a gemmed container, which has some other kind of stuff in it, which is probably rather dangerous, and no one's thought to try tasting it. We also have 8 doses of mystery poison as well. So we have 4 doses of mysterious poisons and 8 doses of mystery poison.
Yes.
Is it safe to say we
have-
could just leave all of that with me and I can test it?
You could
That's
easily
legit. Just throw it on the scale.
The 4 are the 4 are the airtight tins. Those are more adult brained. The 8 are giant scorpion venom.
Okay.
You'd be able to easily identify those given the lab at the time. I mean, giant scorpion venom, you have to roll like at least a -6 on your d20 to identify. I'm pretty sure it's like CR3.
I got a 35.
Yeah, that's you did it. You doubled the number you needed.
Well done, well done.
Well done.
And the stuff
was
in the
the-
gem container, if you can figure that out too.
what was the
Yes.
thing I put in my bag
The thing you put in your bag.
that I didn't let
Oh,
anybody
that's right.
see?
Oh, well.
Well, I didn't write it down because you didn't let me see it.
That's your job.
He's not taking your notes. He's taking his notes.
I mean,
I
if
was
you
gonna
put
say-
something in your bag and don't tell anybody about it, I trust you'll write it down.
I almost forgot about something, but we can get to that later when we split up. Because I remember I took the arms of those alchemy golem things that we fought earlier in the tower.
So if you want to roll me another alchemy check,
Oh god, I'm still on moderate.
good
curse.
sir.
I feel like a 23 is not going to identify it. So I'm going to spend a coin on that.
Ooh, hero
I
point.
don't think you got coins.
Yeah.
Got hero points. Bring you down to 1.
That's
Well, that went up to a 24.
slightly better.
Value.
So in the gemmed tin, there are 4 individually paper wrapped, small, maybe about the size of a marble, bead-like roll wraps of tacky, hardened putty of some kind. But scraping off small bits to test. Try as you might, you actually cannot figure out what exactly this is. It does seem to be very potent, and it is very difficult to distill exactly what the essence is, but you can 100% tell it is extremely lethal. This will definitely kill a guy. You're just not sure what the optimal way to use it is, or how specifically it's going to do that.
How does knowledge checks work exactly for when you fail? Like, can I try again later?
You can try again the next day. Okay. Yeah, you can basically knowledge you can do once a day to try to identify something. So, Eleanor and Marshall, how you guys doing?
I guess I'm trying to go down to a bar down the street, and he shows up, so I just leave.
I just busted it open like, hello, round two.
I literally had just sat down, got a drink. I was just gonna enjoy a nice, quiet evening with something to drink.
Disturbances.
Or morning, sorry, not evening. He busts in. Well, thank you for the drink, even though I didn't touch it. And just walk out.
I catch you on the shoulder. I'm like, no, listen. I'm not gonna be that bad all the time.
Throws up a little bit in his mouth.
Hi, Marshall.
The cloud of onion wafting.
Visible haze around Marshall as the door opens. The street behind him, surprisingly clear of pedestrians.
Does that breath attack do acid damage?
Corrosive.
It's corrosive for sure.
Well, it ain't nothing to do with your companionship. It's just you're loud, you're obnoxious, and you're a dwarf. They don't make good drinking partners when you want quiet.
Didn't realize.
That's not. But you know what? I just pick you up and sit you down. Yeah. Pop open a very special horn. Dunk. Take one for this. You will forget everything, and your sense of smell will be automatically turned off. I guarantee it.
Is it lead paint?
No, it's
Is it just lead?
no. It's to answer that question.
Answer the
Dwarven-
questions in my voice.
It's
in my head.
it's a dwarven mix I made myself in an attempt of basically a dwarven moonshine.
It's all the leftover dregs of
This
every
isn't
bottle.
getting better.
Getting
Into that
better.
horn.
She looks at it.
I'll buy you a supper.
Just, just starts downing it.
Cool.
Safe.
You can't resist.
It's distilled dwarven urine.
Yeah, she's in the mood for a drink. She can't resist a drink.
No, it's sweat. It's sweat from my beard. I just rained it out.
I think it's getting better.
How is that worse than urine?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh god, it hurts to laugh.
It is actually a fortitude save.
I'm pretty sure I failed.
What'd you get?
I rolled a 5 on the die.
What'd you get?
24 total.
You easily doubled the DC.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's a
okay.
reality.
Alcohol is a DC 0 save.
Oh God.
But this is Marshall's alcohol.
So like you have to have a penalty here. So only elves can get drunk at level 1. Is that what you're saying?
Wait,
is that serious?
Yeah, alcohol, just base alcohol is DC 12.
This is
Oh,
not
this is not
base.
base alcohol.
This is distilled dwarven
It don't
piss.
matter. It don't matter.
Anyway, point is,
Just have-
after all that, after the drinking, whatever, in all seriousness, as we're drinking, munching on whatever they're serving us, Zoe's just like, so, I don't know if you've been by the war cage yet.
Are you gonna keep talking, or are you gonna stop mid sentence?
So you know, a thing. I'll be back to that.
But have you been to the war cage?
I think I stopped by once.
Ah, so you met my friend who's a tinker.
Oh, the Tingu shopkeeper. Yeah, he's absolutely awesome.
We should go shopping.
Oh.
He gives a discount if we test his weapons.
I mean, if it'll stop you from drinking away the day, sure.
Oh, this is just my snack. Come on, let's go. I'd pick her up and just yeet over to the work cage.
She will not let you pick her up. She will not let you pick her
Eleanor
up.
I will
thrown over
roll for it. I
Marshall's
don't care.
shoulder.
She will not let you. She will literally attack you if you try to pick her up. She'll physically hit you.
Freaking bar fight.
I was wondering where the line would be.
It's our party bar fights.
So would that be considered an athletics check? Please tell me that's considered athletic.
I mean, I
it's
think it's initiative if you want to try to grab her.
All right.
If you're gonna actually try to grab her, regardless of the fact she clearly does not want you to.
No, it's
Oh, that's initiative?
That's
yeah, so
initiative.
that's not going to be very good. Yeah, no.
nah.
Yeah.
Well, you're both going nah.
Okay, I'm 21.
I'm 32, 31, something like 31. 31.
Oh, yeah. You just
So
yeet out of
Marshall,
there.
when Marshall tries to grab you, what do you do?
I just skirt around. I ain't in the mood to dance right now and just dart out the door.
Ah, come on, mister!
I'll meet you there, and then we'll talk.
Fine. I take what's left of your plate and mine, and I'm just like, out the door.
A heap of food. There you make your way not terribly far through Kintargo down to the war cage. The big old weapons store around the open sandy pit with testing dummies and all kinds of different setups around the center, and just racks of various weaponry. A lot of it more traditional, but several sections a lot more esoteric and exotic. And of course, Eleanor, as you would be the first to enter here, you would quickly be met by Ichabod, the happy little Tengu running the place here. Welcome to the war cage, lass. That is quite an interesting blade that you bear.
Oh, this one, Delilah? Yeah, she's interesting, all right. She's a piece of junk. Supposed to be tossed, scrap metal, they said.
Scrap metal, they said. The make is interesting, certainly, to say the least, but I am interested in, well, the proportions here. This is a hefty blade for someone of your general build.
Oh, yeah? You'd think I wouldn't be able to wield it effectively, but how it's weighted, all wrong, like he just hands it to him, and it's completely misweighted. It is not a good blade at
Yeah, and he
all.
reaches up, and he's got his little, Tengu bird hands, and he grabs onto the haft of the thing and supporting the blade with one, and he is not a large Tengu. He's pretty hunched in the first place. He doesn't stand terribly tall, but it seems like if he was completely upright, he would maybe just clear, 5 feet. He's a small little bird man. But his sword is real
big.
big for Ichabod. But he's kind of holding it. This is interesting. It is awkward, unbalanced. Weight entirely wrong. Nothing around the hilt. How would you swing such an implement? You'd swing it like a flail, not a sword.
Well, you swing it more like you're dancing with it. You know any dances?
He kind of holds a. I know many that would consider a great many fighting styles to be somewhat of a dance, but me, no. Much more simple, much more straightforward.
Well, here, let me show you. I heard you got a place over in here you can test your weapons.
The war cage is just open. The whole of the area is fenced in by slatted iron bars, vertical and horizontal, giving it the namesake of the area. But the shop itself is all open air around this big central sandy pit with all different kinds of training and practice dummies kind of set up around, and the center of it kept almost wholly open, encircled with a large ring. So it'd be right next to you even as you went in.
Okay. Well, let me give you a demonstration. She steps in the ring. All right. And she's going to just do her tried and true basic. As she swings, she moves with the weight. She's not actually swinging the sword. She's moving with it. One hand on the hilt and one hand upper on the blade, holding it kind of awkwardly to look at. But as she's swinging, it's just the weight of the sword itself is leading her. She's letting the sword swing. She comes back. That was a good little sample, right? You got it all?
It is strange. This is a compensation for the way that the sword is built. You wield a poor weapon, so you have devised a separate style to overcome the failings of the metal.
If that's what you want to call it, then sure.
But it is interesting. It is certainly unconventional, very different, very strange. One that many would be unsure of how to defend against.
Yeah, and I've heard that before too. I'm not actually martially trained in weapons. I have to figure it out on my own as I go.
That much is clear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Speaking of devil.
And
Icky! How's it going, buddy?
and he'll turn back.
Yes. Marshall, one of my best and one of my favorite, largest customers. Truly a spectacle when he wields the weapons of the war cage, yes.
How you doing, buddy? He comes in, brings him for a hug. I'm like, how you doing?
Hold your breath.
Marshall and I are quite acquainted. His talents intrigue me.
Oh, yeah.
He, like you, he fights very differently, seemingly as if almost untrained, wielding any weapon in his hands like it were a mallet, blunted of head, but still just as effective. Swords, spears, rapiers even, swung like flails. Very interesting, very strange, but still effective.
I probably called it brutish, but yeah. I've seen him fight. I've seen him fight before.
The strength of an ogre makes the flat side of any weapon effective.
You got me there.
So, Icket, I was wondering if you, since you roughly met my new party mate here, I was wondering if you got any new toys for us to play with by chance.
You two, my friends, you have fought together.
Oh, yeah.
Styles so different. Marshall's so reckless and yours so flowing, calculated. Both equally untrained, clearly, but opposites.
I figured that even if it's untrained, it figures it's still effective. I mean, I did bust through a wall earlier today. That was fun.
Your styles, I don't understand how you would fight together. It seems that your swings would disadvantage each other as much as your foes.
Well, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, to be blunt, it's actually kind of hard to fight next to him. His swings are wild and large and way too big and overcompensating for something. But when you learn to dance with a variety of partners, you learn to make up for their steps, missteps, mistakes.
Well, you see,
So I do all the thinking, he does all the swinging.
Man, Eleanor is snippy.
just for the record, I like to simplify it as this. I get big, I'm distracting, I'm destructive, and while they're paying attention to me, she snips in for the kill with her fancy dancing sword stuff.
But seemingly just as at risk of the end of your blade than your foes.
She's tiny, I can miss her.
I have seen your swings. I have seen you swing for a target and destroy the 1-2 to its side.
This is true.
He did almost hit me
I've
once.
done it 3 times now.
Several, yes.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. You did almost hit me back there on top of that tower.
To be fair, you did kill that one giant robot that nearly downed me that one time.
I don't think that was me. Right?
Oh, speaking of which, he digs into his on his back and he unwraps. I found these for you. Pulls out the arms of the alchemy
Chemical golems.
Yep, they're the syringy claw things.
Here's the bag here. These. It kind of takes one. These are interesting. Actuated ends, which move independently, each joint like a hand.
Yeah, so sometimes I do that. He does a little hand motion. Sometimes I do this thing like, and then extend the needles and inject you with whatever concoction is in there.
This is machinery, engineering, clockworks even, much further beyond those that I create and understand. This is complex, too complex to be an effective weapon wielded. Interesting, perhaps, but not to me. My weapons, swords, maces, furs, simpler, singular pieces of metal, sometimes maybe a few connected, perhaps chain, but solitary in purpose, clear and obvious, directed,
I
each
know.
of them by design.
I figured if anyone would know what to do with them, it would be you. And if you don't know anybody, then I know you know someone who does.
You perhaps would take, he kind of looks over the back of this, perhaps Aurelius. Further in town, other side of Dock District, by Old Temple they are renovating. He is clockmaker. He creates timepieces, gears, interconnecting mechanisms, much like the hand.
Interesting. Well, in that case, he just puts it away for it. I figured I ask. But till then, I think one thing that you got a hammer, don't you?
I got a hammer.
I need me a hammer.
A hammer, yes. Long I have professed would be better weapon, as you swing all as if they had flat ends.
This is true. But knowing me, I need me. Not a hammer. I need a hammer.
Of course, of course. A hammer sized for.
Handle on a pole.
So I'd like you to take a mailbox and just like.
Fill it with concrete and then swing it.
We should send him and Sal out on a date.
Was selling Ichabod?
I mean, Sal already has like severe stock envy of Ichabod, so.
Oh my god.
Alright, let me find. What is it called in second edition?
think
Is
it's
it,
called
Great Hammer.
is it just Maul
I
now?
think
I
it's just
know
Maul.
it's
Pretty sure
not
it's a Maul.
Earthbreaker anymore.
Darn.
It isn't. Yeah, it used to be Earthbreaker, which was just the most amazing thing ever. But Ichabod leads you over to some of the weapons and to something that looks like you took a meat tenderizer, plopped it into Microsoft Paint, and just scaled it up. It is
Nice.
Yes.
the head of the thing is crafted of a
Even
bright.
looks pixelated.
Yeah. Resolution's far too low. We call it the Minecrafter. The head of the thing, made of a bright, shining steel, is little more than a brick that is about 2.5 feet long and maybe a foot around on either end. Just a big metal rectangle with small indented pyramids on one side, literally like it's a friggin' meat tenderizer, and flanged on the back end with a bit of a decorative hooked extension. Probably usable, but not as effective as just whole whapping people with the front end. The handle is utterly unremarkable, wrapped in leather through more than half of the lower end of its length to give you plenty of space for a wide variety of grips, and capped at the bottom with a simple, rounded but flat-bottomed metal pommel of the same steel.
Oh, may I?
I'm pleased to do. Your endeavors here are some of the best advertising the Warcage has seen in years, yes.
Is that why you have a sign over the bigger weapon saying it's Marshall approved? And you just probably see a sign with Marshall going,
Indeed. Many have come through inquiring about the giant dwarf swinging weapons around inside my cage, yes. This simply take to this dummy of straw. And it's basically just a rolled straw thing wrapped in a couple places for like sharpness. It's usually used to test blades, edged weapons, retaining sharpness, cutting through. This maul here, smash flat entirely.
okay. He does the like, little head twirl with it. Good, went to it. I like it.
And you can absolutely just completely crush this thing with just a little puff as you bash it through, and the pressure just shoots a little burst of straw out around as you end up with the rod of this thing just completely crumpled and broken like a wooden soda can. The banding holding it together enough to just flatten it almost comically straight down.
Did we turn you into an hydraulic press?
We could be. I could be. So I just look at it again. I'm like, oh, I really like this hammer. So
Heavy, yes. Unbalanced, yes, but intentionally. Meant for wild swings. Overhead, side to side. A weapon, perhaps, that can be swung as effectively by holding it outward and simply spinning in a circle. Tactics
you just see a big old grin. I'm like, Nora, should I?
Tactics and training, largely unnecessary. A simple weapon, very much to the point.
Ella's like somewhere else in the store, is humming to herself, looking at weapons.
Right. So, how much? And if me and you work on it together, can we multiply it? Like, you know.
With runic magic, of course, enhancements, adding additional half not borne by the user to the head. Armor designed to deflect blades to deflect points against blunt force, such as this maul here. A tomb, crushing enemies within, smashed like crumpled foil.
He just starts drooling because he's just so happy right now.
So if you want a maul,
So
We
you two
can-
just need to go on a date. Like,
I mean, he might.
we could definitely get you a maul. It's 2 bulk. It's a big chungus, and
I too am a big chunk.
it is almost exactly the same as your 2-handed dwarven war axe, mechanically just doing blunt damage instead of slashing. It's D12, so if you make it +1 striking, it is going to be
I think
2d12.
Don't we still have 1+1 striking left over somewhere? if I remember correctly. And
I think we
or
have.
did we sell it
No,
already?
we settled up on the last bit, but we did find plenty of +1 striking other weapons, which you can.
Yeah, you
transfer the runes
definitely
over
just
from.
killed at
Yeah.
least the 2 dwarves.
Oh, yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
top.
Yeah,
Let's
we
just-
got
let's
tons.
We'll just put that on there.
So you can definitely move the runes over
Okay.
for 10% of the price to buy new ones.
So if that's the regards, would Marshall be able to haggle a deal financially or do a favor for a favor like he did last time?
Already, this first for your advertisements, for your continued returns and your entertainments, this rune, this great flame, visible, very visible throughout much of the district, yes. But a great gift, a valuable one, one exchanged for services continued rendered to the war cage. Indebted still, I would find you.
All right.
Further deals, not yet.
Understandable. So, for this hammer, so it already has the this. Well, does it have anything on it already? I'm sorry. I
This is
missed
just a mall right now.
It's just
but
a mall
I mean,
right
you can
now.
have somebody with crafting
All right,
move the plus
so-
one over flow.
I guess Marshall is
Three
just.
gold pieces for simply such a large amount of material into the work, such a
fine.
hefty quantity of steel.
Oh, that's fine. I can definitely throw you that. And as far as any other runes to modify it with, I got a striking room in with my party mates. Do you have any other elemental runes? Don't get me wrong. I like me fire. But I keep coming across things that are not exactly caring if it's on fire or not. Do you have anything else by chance?
I have many things, of course, many available, but these runes, elemental, that add more similar enchantments to the weapons, very expensive. First, already given, already in agreement.
Yes.
More, however, would require coin.
Oh, yes. I'd be willing to either get coin or work for it, whichever.
So, elemental runes.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that part of the book yet. So.
Yeah, that's.
I think our common cash is a little bit too thin.
Yeah,
for
an
that.
elemental rune is 500 gold
It
pieces.
is definitely
They
too
are-
thin.
Yeah.
They are pretty
Okay.
beefy. They are not the gimmies that they were in first edition when they just kind of slapped you
Yeah.
6 damage on your weapon. They do a lot of stuff now.
Because I have probably like maybe 50 gold in my wallet right now, so. I figured I'd ask though.
Yeah, that one's probably going to be.
But that's okay.
Beyond
I'm totally okay
current
with having them all with the
Yeah,
plus one
but if you
striking
get
on
plus
it.
one striking onto it, it's functionally going to swing exactly like your axe. You're just going to have one less on the attack roll because your axe is plus 2 striking.
Right.
So the only difference is you'll just subtract 1. The damage is identical. It's just bludgeoning instead of slashing.
The main purpose is, diversity and having a backup weapon, because I notice we keep running into a lot of things that are like, what is slashing?
So you can absolutely crap bludgeon golems if they show up again.
Exactly.
Just smash right through their stupid glass faces.
So I'll toss him the 3 gold for the material, regardless. And I'm like, so icky. Now that we got a new hammer and, me and him, since we're both weapon crafters of some sort, we put in our own little signature markings on the hammer's head or whatever. Like mine on one side, his on the other, because we're buddies. We gotta give it a name. What are you thinking?
Names for weapons frequently earned through deeds. Your axe, for instance, Big Red, you were told named for deeds committed with weapon. For heritage, perhaps, could be saying.
No, that's true.
Maul yet has not faced a foe stronger than rolled straw, has not yet earned a title, has no tail.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, hey, Nora, did you find anything you want? I'll help you a bit, mark it up, maybe haggle a bit.
Is also simple weapon, difficult to describe in flavorful words. Poets would look it over, perhaps could name rectangle.
Even Marshall can't keep his straight face. Okay, what am I gonna do with you?
Better names earned through battle.
Fair enough. He puts it on his back, and like, you like your little brother, don't you? Oh, yes, I do. He's making his weapons talk.
Okay. Well, I was just on the other side of the sword. Oh, okay. It's getting weird. What's this? She's just looking at random weapons.
I don't know this guy. Resume. before we go any further, the chat here, Dragonic Soul 221. It's not that I have it out for players. It's more the players get more love from the GM.
Aw,
Just have
thank
to spin it around.
you.
One of my villain points I have still from Dragonic Soul. I have one from him and two from like
Playing it.
So
Wait.
while she's still shopping and perusing, I'm just gonna keep practicing on some dummies for fun.
Pounding sand, as it were.
Basically, I haven't even got
Literally,
giant
yes.
yet.
So
If you swung that hard enough, you'd make glass.
as the two of you make arrangements for the overnight stay here, for the Desnan priests to watch over you and see what exactly is going on with Resme's sleep here, they would only ask for a tithing of 5 silver pieces, just to keep a pair of acolytes through the night.
of
to
course.
ensure that, I mean, it's like not giving any spells directly inherently. I mean, like, they're not, it's Desnan Church. You didn't go ask the priests of Abadar to watch you for the evening. So just like, no, we just to give them for the time to make sure I can
Yeah.
get acolytes on. 5 silver pieces, they'll watch you.
Cool.
Sleepover party.
But that won't be until later in the evening. And for the day, I believe you wanted to go back to
Yeah.
Lady Goric's.
Yes, we did.
So,
And at this point, it would be easy for you to be let in. You're familiar at this point. Led to the same chamber, and once again, given an audience with Lady Goric herself and a pair of the same retainers that have been there the first time you had come to meet her. By this point, you'd paid for quite a few heals. While your clothes may still be ravaged and bloody, you at least look much better.
I changed.
Physically, you changed.
I did
Okay.
not.
Roshin did not.
No.
Roshin's tabard is just like a ripped curtain hanging over her full plate at this point.
The plate underneath it as well.
Can I
Yeah, with those
please put
smithy
you in a
hands going
dress?
Pretty much straight through. You would actually have almost like perfect queen slots through your armor where the interlocutor's claws had punched through like it was nearly nothing.
Ugh.
I have a beautiful, like, forest green dress that would just look stunning on you.
Well, maybe we could try it sometime. No cast iron corset in that one, is it?
No, just a regular corset.
Perhaps sometime. This is business. Don't worry, I'll dress appropriately when it comes time for classes.
Oh, good.
And it looks like your armor certainly has served you well in the... If it's even been 24 hours since last you were here.
Well, it did its best.
As I can see, those incisions, almost I would call them, are much unlike anything I've witnessed before.
Some bizarre fiend made of metal and flesh.
Seemed full capable of cutting through your plate as if it was paper.
And myself underneath it as well.
If you'll have a seat and take some tea with us, we're happy to tell you the tale whole.
I prefer to stand during meetings, as it were. Consider it a lifetime of precaution and training.
It
Of
also tends
course.
to make the meeting shorter.
That it does. So, Miss Resme, Miss Roshin, Valia would not have followed you to Lady Goric. She would have come to the Desnan Chapel if you would have had her just
Yeah.
out of also wanting some more healing.
Yeah.
and having
thought
not
she
much
might.
going
I
on.
thought you'd want to come along.
But she would have parted ways for the time being afterwards, saying that if you would have not withheld where you're staying, she'd
No.
meet you back at your inn later in the evening. So the two of you, I can only hope the two of you returned here after seemingly such valorous exploits this morning, hoping to take me up on an offer.
Indeed we did. We should very much like to take you up on your offer and enroll.
Now, I imagine, based on the circumstances of our meeting, how you had first arrived here and how we'd come to be acquainted initially, that you may believe there is more at hand here than a simple finishing school for girls. Normally, this would be something that I believe even the Bellflower Network themselves only hold a gentle understanding of. But you, a pair of you, you are odd. An observation I'm sure is made frequently.
It's true.
I've gotten rather used to it over the years.
And as many have come before me, I'm sure I mean no slight by it, but you're certainly far beyond capable. Whatever it is that could do that to full plate would be near unstoppable, even to half the armies of Kintargo. The Order of the Torrent's finest Hell Knights would have stood for nothing against a foe of such power, and yet here you stand with, I imagine, not even a day's worth of rest afterward. Capable is the word that I would use.
Accurate descriptions.
You have handled the Scarlet Triad in an impressive fashion. I'm interested. I invited you here not simply to teach you that which I know, but I have lived a very, very long life. I've learned a great many things over those years, one of which is that the more you know, the harder it becomes to expand your base of skills. Diminishing return to it of sorts. It's, of course, impossible to achieve Nethesian perfection of understanding. Well, without ascending to godhood yourself, it would seem. But I think there is an exchange that could be had here. You two possess an interesting set of skills, some of which I am positive far outstrip even my own. I think we could teach each other.
I should be honored for such an exchange.
Indeed, that's part of the best part of a partnership as I can think of.
Have you heard, perhaps, of an organization known as Lacunifex?
Not since I saw it on the invitation you handed me.
It is... How do I begin? I suppose the closest relation is an elven school of teaching, perhaps. You may relate it closely to something like the Taldan Lion Blades, or even
Elven
House
lore?
Throne of Cheliax. Sure, you can roll me an Elven lore.
Roll some dice.
I like dice.
Use the dice tower.
Do it. No, I'm never using the dice tower ever again.
Yeah, you're right. That was a good
Take
dry run.
this.
You didn't use the
Coin.
right side.
You didn't use the right
Tower lay
side.
down.
It has two sides.
They most certainly
So
will.
does my soul.
So use the other side. You give up too easily.
It's going to be a 30.
So, while the name would not sound immediately familiar, at least as face value, it does hearken to a minor elven deity that's not Lacunifex, but it's almost it could be derived from that, which is something kind of close in lineage to Callistria. The elven pantheon, to a human mind, the gods share a whole lot of more strangely overlapped domains. And this would be one of secrecy of information, almost like Elven Norgorber, but also on the surface one of truth, more like Sarenrae. It's almost certainly a derivative of that.
Something in my memory. Is it part of Callistria's pantheon? Tradition.
Ancient elven deities. That is where the name is pulled from. But it is a network, perhaps. Maybe the bellflowers themselves would have been a closer and more astute comparison. But one that has existed within the walls of Kintargo since I founded it some few centuries past by now. It's a network of like-minded individuals who use our assorted skills to preserve history as it was once written, as it should be written, in its truest and most direct form, or at least that was its original origin. These days, fortunately, now that Ravenel has freed itself from Cheliax's yoke, those services standing against revisionists are far less in demand.
Secrets and truth.
Once, my school here stood at a precipice. I had two choices. submit to not one but a pair of new rightful authorities and allow a proper record of history to go forgotten by time, censored, if you will, by House Throne. Or I could make the choice that I did. Stand fast against it, acquiesce on the surface, but continue in shadows, as I was in pursuit of truth. I believe the two of you could benefit from these skills. You're here in Kintargo now, getting a strange parallel to what I once faced when Cheliax came for the good city of Kintargo, when their devilish shadow extended so far north. Your enemy is something perhaps smaller, more condensed, something you may even dismantle with the Scarlet Triad, but something that cannot be fought in an open war, waged in a blank field with swords and magic. At least, not traditionally.
No, and our enemy keeps moving and transforming and becoming something different. It's like we catch its tail, and instead of the horse we expected, it's a lizard, and then we go to try to catch it again, and it becomes a griffin.
Regardless,
Puzzling.
if we just keep stomping up the tail, we'll get somewhere eventually.
But every time you reach for it, you give them more information. You aid them to hide better. Every time that they are rooted out and you are unsuccessful in crippling their organization completely, they've another avenue to protect themselves from. They've learned and evolved.
It's frustrating. That's why we've just been killing all of them and hoping that they don't notice us.
She's
I
not
mean, if it
laughing.
works, it
She's
works.
not laughing.
The analogy from last week is not wrong. They probed out, and then a wave of no information came back.
You guys are just the darkness from the Scarlet Triad. I think that perhaps a subtler hand may aid you in your investigations, if not here in Kintargo or even in Ravenel, then further abroad. I have had little time to investigate this Scarlet Triad, as they are impressive. Perhaps I have become too cavalier. Since Ravenel became its own nation, and since the Silver Council took hold of the city, I have allowed myself to relax, perhaps a bit too far, certainly too far, if these Triad agents were able to make their way into my own school before I even knew of their existence. A mistake that I assure you will not be made again.
And the Scarlet Triad is the least of it. It's simply part of a web that seems to span much of the world. Maybe as we tell you more of it, you can help us untangle it.
Perhaps. But I do believe all of us have much to gain from an exchange of information. Perhaps even an exchange of skills or magic. You
Agreed.
seem to be a capable sorcerer yourself, and Roshin, I would imagine that you have some power of your own. Few that seem so devoted to a goddess such as yourself to Milani
I'm a woman of many talents.
make their way through lives with no divine mark upon them. With that, comrades, you will get access to a whole slew of interesting teachings here in Lady Goric's School for Girls. Both some skill and general feats, as well as a neat little list of spells, which are predominantly occult, but several of which do appear on the arcane and the divine lists.
Well,
Let's check it out.
as I have cross-blooded evolution, those aren't necessarily closed off to me either.
That's fair. Most of the magic that Miss Gora has is basically bardic. She is a very skilled bard, after all. Not all bards are here to twang their lute in and sing songs.
Don't you lie to me.
Sorry, Spectre, shatter your mind.
Stop lying. Don't
Shut your mouth!
you shut your mouth.
Two sides of bard. There is this bard,
No.
And then there's the other side that looks exactly the same.
and there is this bard.
No.
But even without being a bard yourself, there is still a lot that she could offer you in acts of deception and espionage. Some skills, some teachings, though non-magical, seeming near as to spells themselves with the skill Lady Goric has in practicing them. So for you three, actually, this is solid for both of you. So you, as a changeling, does that give you two? Is that one of the half ones that gives you access to what is 2 different ancestry lists, or is changeling kind of its own thing?
So changeling
ASMR.
changeling is technically a heritage, so you bolt it onto an existing ancestry. So Roshin's technically human/changeling.
That's what
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm instead of taking versatile heritage or skilled heritage, I took changeling.
I'm not 100% sure this would apply to you. It might. But you definitely, half-elf, would gain access to the ability to really, truly separate using that mixed heritage to create almost 2 separate sides of your being. One where you can pass as, well, a half-elf, mostly human. You obviously look very elven, who is Resme. And another as a full elf, with the appearance that you have, appearing to all but the most informed that there is no human blood in you at all. That was the thing that you wanted, I think.
It is. I have actually, with her help, I was hoping to create a separate identity. So her family owns a vineyard, so she actually has a lot of practice separating scents and smells out from one another. So I was hoping to create an identity as a perfumer, somebody who searches, who's part of a minor branch of a very large elven family from Keonan, who actually search the world for unique scents and things to add to unique perfumes and other refined scents in Keonan. It just seems like it would be up her alley and something she could do.
And with Lady Goric's knowledge and resources, you would find that would not happen immediately, but throughout the coming days, it is surprisingly easy to not just create an entire persona like that, but to sort of sow the seeds for it, to create paperwork, trails, connections throughout various regions that make to any cursory inspection make it appear as if this person always existed, was always there, creating an entirely independent history and a fully second guise for Resme. So, who is this Keonan perfumer?
Her name is Atrelia. And I was hoping that you would I don't know a lot about big elven houses, so I was hoping you would just help me pick one.
Sure, I definitely know not about big elven houses. Yeah, I have had run a great many campaigns that
Also, I was hoping it would have a lot of apostrophes in it.
Leave it to Squid to know everything about elves.
We could add more
I'm a
apostrophes.
total elven lore master
Oh, yeah.
right here. It's definitely a thing that I really look into a lot. Yep.
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 Milari, or not Milari, sorry, Lady Goric here. Lady Goric would have a recommendation. If you're looking for an ancient elven house, House Drovage would be simple enough.
Ooh.
One that is large, expansive, and most importantly, less than meticulous about ancient connections and records.
Yes, and they have enough branches that I don't think anyone would notice a minus scion of their house.
There are enough letters in that name for multiple apostrophes.
Thank you.
But there are none. Could be, but there aren't.
So The interesting thing about scents and perfumes is that while there's generally one very overwhelming ingredient, there's often several other notes underlying them that go very much into creating the body of the scent that only a trained nose would be able to detect.
I am that nose.
Actually, I am. So there are things, often perfumers will use things such as coffee, things that you wouldn't expect to show up in a refined scent, but that often give it that underlying body that makes it unique. She is actually paid as a consultant to smell things and identify each of the notes in those smells and take them apart. Sometimes...
Marshall's got a job for you.
No.
That'll be
See,
five
Nick
gold
and I
for
are on
a
the same
sniff.
wavelength.
Sometimes she's hired conspiratorially by different groups to try to take their competitors' scents apart to figure out what their secret ingredients are. Sometimes she's sent to exotic locales to try to find different flowers and herbs and things that may not have been used before to try to get the one-up.
And all of this, this guy is put together over the course of over the course of days here.
I'm Batman.
With Lady Goric's assistance, as if it had simply always been there. Records, ledgers created, documents of passage, even house seals she's able to reproduce. As if they were from the inappropriate scion of House Drovenge itself, and not Lady Goric's bag of stuff to impersonate people. And this would occupy much of your time, I imagine, until the evening when you were set to head back to the Desnan Chapel to rest and, well, see if you can figure out what the hell is going on. At some point, you two, with your new giant whacking stick, would be retiring. She's not
Probably just
staying
fall asleep
overnight.
in the tower.
He's staying overnight in the tower. And Sheik's passing
I
out,
have work to do.
surrounded by his poisons in his happy place.
Like a kid on Christmas.
Like a kid on frickin' Christmas.
Just laying on the floor with vials all around his head.
Cue to happy lizard noises.
Purring or cooing?
Happy
Snoring.
lizard.
Cooing then.
What noises do lizards make? I
don't think that's accurate.
A noise.
I mean, if their
Well-
tongue would do that, maybe. I don't know.
As night comes, Temple of Desna, Tower, Eulobalus Inn, Valia meeting both of you there as well. We should take our break.
Yes.
Yes, because I'm really
Because,
thirsty.
I have to pee. And also, it's about that time. So,
About that time.
everybody, we are going to stand up for a couple minutes. Feel free to stretch your legs, top off your own beverages.
And try to figure out who I am.
Resme.
You'll never do it.
We were here the
I'm
whole
just gonna
time.
unstop
many
one of those
prostitutes
little
are you
metal
in?
vials.
No.
Hey, what does this smell like?
First of all, I would never smell anything
Does it
you
smell like
gave me.
chloroform to you?
It could be
We'll be back
worse.
in a couple of minutes. We got some highlights for the interim there, but don't go too far. When we return, there is, well, still,
Social things to do.
well,
Dogs to be
recuperation,
walked.
things to deal with here
Or-
in town, but then some Scarlet Triad to the south we heard
Oh, yeah, that's
about.
right.
Ella hasn't been healed yet.
Oh.
Well, you're fine.
Yeah, you're just don't die. You'll be
Wait,
fine.
wouldn't you have just been able to do
We'll be
throw
right
checks
back.
at yourself?
Everybody.
When I had the chance. Didn't try hard enough.
Ooh, is it nap time?
It is probably nap time, yes.
Yep. Sleepy sleepies.
No, but as you two head off to the Church of Desna, you pass out over a bunch of Olympics somewhere. The two of you would be met once more by Valia and the Eulobalus Inn sometime close to sundown. And to enter and nod to both of you. Well, you're not looking much better, but did you not seek a doctor?
Well, the pain kind of went away, and then I kind of just forgot about it. I patched myself up a little bit.
We went shopping.
Yeah, he decided he wanted to go shopping. How are you feeling?
Even Marshall's giving you the look like, really?
Oh,
No,
well,
I apologize. This is an uncouth reaction, but it's, I don't know, perhaps one of the stages of grief, as it were. I just find the whole situation almost somewhat humorous now.
that's a good outlook on it.
Fine enough. We got what we needed, right?
Yep.
I found my wizard, and you were able to root out some more of the Scarlet Triad. Where is Miss Glutterman and her new paladin?
They were with you last I saw. I haven't seen them all day since we got done with the tower.
That's what I thought. I thought you girls went, shopping in leather dresses.
Given the events of the morning, I hope I'm not the only one that finds this at least, well, might concerning. They didn't inform you or anything.
No. Well, I don't see why they would have to inform me of anything. I hardly know them.
Well, I imagine if they've caught onto something else, hopefully it's for the best. Your friend, Miss Glouderman, the only one that I knew from before, she is a bit overconfident. Sometimes I've seen. I assume if this is not an overreach of me, that is why she frequently travels with such heavily armored companions.
I mean,
You're not here.
I don't know him too well, but that seems like a pretty astute observation.
Just have Goon's forehead.
She does act a lot like a child every now and then.
She is one. I don't know her exact age, of course I haven't asked, but I can't imagine that she's far north of 20 years. She's found herself wrapped up in something that may be far beyond what she expects. This triad that you have here, if you're still invested in this, if you are personally, they're much more far-reaching than even I really could have believed. Tracking Brazak here was no mean feat. And saw what we had to pay for it. That was just to find one wizard. I, well, really have walked away from this with nothing. I would have hoped we could have at least spoken with him further, maybe learned something of him, but his notes gave us little more than a direction to yet another hive holdout of their activity, and no purpose and no means. I can't for the life of me imagine what they're after or how it possibly relates to their magical research.
Well, there's one way to find out. You walk right up to their door and knock and ask nicely. And by ask nicely, when I say nicely, we introduce it to this foul-smelling beast right here next to me.
Aye, dude. I got a new hammer. Want to see it?
I can't imagine that you're capable of fighting very effectively, carrying so much weaponry across your back.
You're a bit surprised. You forgot how big I can get.
Is your tactic simply to forego defending yourself and assume that you can smash them to death before they do the same to you?
Aye. It seems to be working, doesn't it?
From what I saw in the tower, it does seem to be how you fight, and it was quite nearly your death.
I've had worse. Have you ever tried wrestling a gnome druid in the woods that turns into a giant bear? That's fun.
I don't know that I've ever had the fortune of meeting a gnomish druid, but I can't imagine we'd have much in common. Still.
So, anyways, besides the little tangent, what are your plans after this? You gonna go with us, or you gonna go off on your own?
That is a good question.
I don't know. I came here to Kintargo seeking Brazak. Seeking him personally and specifically for whatever causes he'd seen fit to pull my puppet strings. But I didn't really learn much of anything.
I do have one question, actually.
Of course.
So, from what you found in the notes in his journals, I would assume that, I don't know, he's got friends or patrons or something that he works with, doesn't he?
Well, I only know what Miss Galadriman and the lizard had told us. I was regrettably in no real state to look through Brazok's things properly after that battle.
Well, he just kind of gets up from his bar stool. Well, I may not exactly look like, believe it or not, I know I'm not exactly the fancy magic type and whatever, but I think even Laurel have probably heard of it at some point, but I did hear of certain temple cleric goers or whatever, even in the dwarven families, that could possibly get the last words of the dead if the corpse isn't too rotten.
That is an avenue, one that I've seen used before. It's not magic that I know, but
I mean, how else do you think I got my uncle's secret recipe?
certainly one of the more mundane uses I've heard of such magic being put toward. But that may actually be wise. If we could source magic such that we can interrogate the body of Ilvarashma, we may yet to learn something. The problem, to my understanding, is that compelling a spirit to return and to talk does not compel it to be friendly, nor truthful.
That is true. It's an idea. If anything, we could ask the missus when they get back.
Should have just shrunk his body. Put him in my purse.
Oh, even if it not the missus, I would think Trushik might know something, with his fancy lab and whatnot.
Well, you haven't chartered a ship back to Breach Hill, wherever it is that the pair of you hail from, and I can take the liberty of assuming that you at least probably are not from Kintargo. So I take it you mean to set out to the south and find this Varus.
Yeah?
I mean, that's all we can do, I think.
Feel like it's been my best interest to stick with these folk anyway, see them all the way through. If their friends abuse, and I don't want to leave them unattended to.
A sentiment I find myself sharing. Should she?
I mean, to be fair.
A sentiment I find myself sharing more and more by the day, it seems. I thought we'd parted ways back in Wongi, and I was going to see no further of Miss Glatterman or her entourage, but yet here we are. You seem to be seeking the same thing, if for different reasons and in different capacities. I don't know how much use I could be, but if we're to travel down to this quarry, I'd wish to join you as well.
I
This
don't.
is the only lead Ilvarashman's left me, and I came this far.
I mean, I don't say why not.
I don't see any cause not to say, oh, yes. So, an extra person to talk to on the road down makes it a little less lonely.
You almost said an extra pair of hands.
I almost said an extra pair of hands.
Even Marshall would just be like,
Besides, but I
Oh my
didn't.
God.
I didn't.
An extra pair.
Wait.
Extra person to talk to.
Hey, could I give you just help with that?
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so wait a minute. Not gonna lie, out of game, what if we gave her one of the robot arms that I confiscated?
The
Give her a
like
literal hand.
5 foot long wooden
Yes.
alchemical arms.
Yes.
But for what?
She's all of a sudden a
Stabby
golden
big
count.
stabs.
It's just gonna drag on the ground behind her. Like,
It's just a really ill-fitting prosthetic. It's fine.
She becomes a
Marshall
golden
doesn't understand
grafter.
the concept of robots. You
Cyborg!
see all that stuff in there, Marshall? That's why your robot didn't work.
there was another secret point in here. I see. Resume. Getting poured out from the chat here. today.
Yeah.
Another one from Handsome Ganker, the amazing pun machine. Keep making Squid lose more hope in humanity and keep the fireballs going. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resume now, dude. Come on.
He is the most handsomest of all the gankers, as we all know.
I'm
Do you
okay
want
with
me
this.
to kill Resume? Because
It might happen.
it sounds like you want me to kill Resume.
The punning won't stop, even in death.
Well,
There is no escape.
Also, I got me the resurrect ritual.
Did
You
you?
do that on yourself?
She can do it.
Regardless of, I suppose the time for future plans is, well, future, and when the rest of your allies have returned. Not force my company upon the group of you, and after what happened in Wonky, I wouldn't blame Miss Gladderman if she wanted less of a reminder of what had happened there. My loss is the least of what I've even seen her experience. And it's been a very long day for all of us, I'm sure.
Indeed. So I suggest we just have a good night drink, get some rest, and journey out in the morning.
I think I'll pass on the drink, but
I said we drink.
we'll have a fine rest. I will hopefully catch up with the rest of you sometime tomorrow morning, perhaps.
Aye.
Well, I'm gonna be waiting here until the other two get back, anyways. So
I at least want to ensure they're still at least safe.
I'm sure they are. Roshin can fight.
Well, regardless of the strange circumstances, it's been a pleasure meeting the both of you, and I do apologize about the misunderstanding in the tower.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, I think we're even.
Pleasant evening to the pair of you.
Little did
Doesn't-
she know if she had been hostile, I would have done the same thing to her.
At that point, Severin will actually come flying in the door and land on your table and go, Miss Resme has instructed me to tell you,
Ah, bird! Throws a potato at him.
ducks,
Oh look, it's a
That-
talking bird.
that she is having a sleepover in the Temple of Desna.
And Desna's temple. Got it. Well, I'm going to bed. You tell her. We'll
And
see.
don't
her.
wait up because she's having magical things done to her brain.
All right. I wasn't planning on waiting up anyhow.
Can't imagine there's anywhere you can get
So-
a night's sleep and on the watch of the Lady
Even,
Desna.
yeah, Marshall's just like, I have so many questions. Do you know where Trushik is? Is he still in the tower?
Trishik is a lizard.
Trishik was his name. I'll have to
Damn it.
remember all of these.
Okay.
You
go.
asked a very specific question and I answered it very appropriately.
Hey,
Be more specific in the future.
Excuse me, Severin.
What?
Can you tell Miss Resme that I said pleasant dreams, good night, and I'll see her bright and early in the morning.
Oh, of course I shall convey your compliments.
And I curtsy to the bird.
Bird curtsies back.
Thank you kindly. I'm going to bed. It has been a long and very difficult day, and I think one of my stitches just busted open. So, good night, y'all.
You get your beauty rest.
Yeah, I'm gonna need it.
All right, get out of here, bud. Throws another.
So, this leaves the pair of you back at the Temple of Desna. So, are you, what exactly, they lead you to the, just a simple communal chamber where some of the acolytes that stay in the church itself overnight, and it's just right through this main atrium, have relatively simple but decorative bunks around another round chamber, punctuating each of the walls around, split by only a couple of doors, one leading deeper within, one leading back to the main atrium. The elderly priest of Desna, the leader of the church, leads you back there personally, supervised by a pair of acolytes, who will, throughout the night in shifts, make sure that one of them at least is watching for any signs of turmoil, or occasionally casting even basic divinations to detect any kind of enchantments that may be working upon you.
Roshin is going to stay up also and just watch Resme sleep. And just keep.
Resume's gonna feel real awkward.
Are you sleeping well?
Hey, Resme,
What?
how are you
Stop.
feeling?
Don't talk. I'm sleeping.
Okay, just making sure. But she's going to be keeping an eye on things. Thank you.
Oh god.
That's fatigued. He's not sleeping.
Oh okay.
At all?
She.
Well, I mean,
She's not sleeping.
none.
I
No,
mean-
that's for her.
Yeah.
She's not a.
I mean, you've got the
Or
Dreamstone,
that's
so if you
right,
just want to sleep for
as a-
4
as a
hours, you
haste
could
or
watch me the
whatever.
rest of the time.
Or I could just watch you the rest of the time and then sleep for 4 hours. 2 hours, I think, actually.
It's real. I actually still have it to that page, or one off of that page. It is 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleep for 2 hours, you get a full night's rest. So
Yeah.
like at 9 in the morning, just. So you have the new Dreamstone, and you fall asleep pretty much immediately. Here, you have not only a Dreamstone with you, but you are in a Desnan temple with Desnan priests watching over you, the goddess of dreams and a good night's sleep. So, what may be unsurprising to everybody is that, even regardless of all of the eyes kind of around the area, the priests don't just sit there and like he's not holding a clipboard staring at you, waiting for you to fall asleep. They're
Roshin
just-
might be.
It's not medieval sleep study time.
They're just around. One of the acolytes as well takes to a cot further down the room to get some rest as the first waits up with some meditations, lighting a small candle at their feet just for an amount of light in the room, but still keeping it as dim as possible. with the Desnan holy text in front of them that they don't open immediately, to just sit in their lap and looking towards Resme occasionally, but most of the time in quiet, contemplative meditation. You are unconscious within 5 minutes, because that's what the Dreamstone says it does.
But when I wake up, how do I know if I'm still dreaming?
Is your top with you?
Oh, I hate you so much.
Got him.
And under the watchful eyes of this fine group of folk here, Resme is totally motionless, unconscious, at as far as everyone can see, a visibly peaceful rest through the night. Fatigue finally lifting. Peaceful rest.
She looks like a snore.
I mean, at least you're not sharing a room with Marshall.
All the cute ones are snorers.
Yep.
And when you wake in the morning,
Or 2 hours later.
well, I mean, you don't, like, you can take a 2-hour sleep.
No, I'm taking the whole 8 hours.
You
It's
know,
good.
you were generally
I was
going
gonna say.
to sleep through the night.
Yeah.
It's just like if you are pressed for time.
No, I'm good. I'm sleeping through the night.
You would awaken well rested, perfectly fine, unfatigued, with a fine, peaceable night's rest. Pleasant, very gentle dreams of fluttering butterflies in moonlight graced to you by the goddess Desna. It's a good time.
There's no like shaving cream on my face, is there?
And in the morning, for the first time in several days, you are finally going to feel fantastically rested.
All right, you girls are hired. You have to watch over me every night now.
Well, my lady, for perhaps the better or the worse, we did nothing. You simply slept peaceably through the eve. You're motionless.
Do I snore?
Only,
No shame.
only an appropriate amount.
No
Oh.
shame in it.
Oh, good.
I don't know if it's a work of the Dreamstone, the Lady of Dreams herself, watching over such a sanctified place of what, but I saw no ills. How
Well,
do you feel?
I feel wonderful. Not tired or sad or run down at all. This is the best I've felt in a week.
Then my only regret, perhaps, is that we are unable to diagnose whatever problem it is you've been having.
Seems to be a problem.
It could perhaps be stress and traumas that maybe your mind just needed a fair bit more nudging to deal with properly.
Well, there has been a number of problems with stress and trauma recently, I suppose.
Or maybe whoever or whatever it was couldn't penetrate these walls.
Perhaps. While we have no direct magical wards erected over the church, it is a place of worship and prayer. Vanda Desna herself shares guidance and sanctity over, and she is a protector of dreams before all else.
There are many who would be very hesitant to disturb that.
If anyone is of a mind to disturb it, and perhaps that'd be why you were having an issue. But,
You look exhausted.
I've been staying up all night.
She was diligent. We took shifts, but she stayed by your side through all the darkness.
That was so sweet of you. Thank you.
I can't have you being accosted while I'm not paying attention now.
Well, for now, perhaps we will just take it at that, and if it happens again, perhaps I will come back and see you again.
Very well. We will be here, as we have been for generations.
Or maybe you make house calls?
If necessary. But I do believe Desna's grace has carried you through this evening, and the Midnight Butterfly has seen you to wake well rested in the morning. Hopefully this persists.
Resume, we should make it back to the inn.
Yes, perhaps you should take a little bit of a nap. I mean, only a couple of hours should see you to rights.
Yes, of course.
Come
While I'm
along.
out, could you arrange for someone to go and patch the holes in my armor?
Yes, of course. I'll see to it myself.
You're a darling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. And so, none the wiser, but at least finally well rested. And now it is Roshin who is trying not to plank in the street as you make your way, I imagine, back to the inn.
Yes, actually feeling the 50 pounds of steel she's wearing on herself right now.
As you would come back in the morning, not too long after Marshall and Eleonora have made their daily preparations to meet once more in Ulysses Inn.
I think Roshin, who was very sweet and spent the night watching over me, is going to need a couple of hours of rest before we start our day.
Morning.
That's fine. That'll at least let me
night.
finish breakfast.
Comes down.
I'll take her armor off of her and go work it back.
It's like a minute-long process, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, she looked absolutely horrid.
I know. She was worried about me. I haven't been sleeping, even with the Dreamstone, which is very, very unusual.
Now, what exactly is the Dreamstone?
Oh, that's right. It's a Desnan artifact. It's designed to make it so that you have a peaceful, dreamless sleep and awake unfatigued.
Armor off. Bed.
It has not
Stone.
been working.
Here. Dead Heartstone here.
Rock. Second
And
rock.
To balance out the first
My
rock.
security rocks.
Sleep with my security rock.
Well,
In case anyone breaks
I
in, you
think-
just hit them with the rock.
emotional support rocks.
And just,
Emotional
I love
support
this
rocks,
early in the morning.
exactly
She's
right.
very dressed down in very plain clothes. She's not done up at all. I woke up kind of hungry. I'm about to go get breakfast. You want to join me?
Sure.
Marshall's already plowing away. Like,
Somewhere else.
And from behind the counter, Rainier would raise his hand. Pleasant morning to the pair of you. If you have breakfast on already, having eggs?
That
Sound-
would be lovely. Tell me what days you work again? Sorry, just had to.
Holidays through wheel day most weeks. My weekend, as it starts tomorrow.
All right.
Gonna write that down in your notes there.
Yes, I'm gonna write it down in my frickin' notes.
just remember we love you.
I even have it printed. I don't even write it. It came out of the printer. It says right there, in concierge, start date the wheel day. Pretty sure that was information I gave to the party.
So what does that equate to in normal days?
Saturday through Wednesday.
Nerd.
They do, for the grace of Paizo, keep the names of the days pretty close to what they actually are.
Especially Sunday.
Sunday is literally still just Sunday.
Yeah.
It goes Sunday, Moon Day, Toil Day, Wheel Day, Oath Day, Fire Day, Star Day. So they're all, other than Oath Day, very close.
And Faraday.
And they're all almost literally anagrams of the actual day, with Fire Day and Star Day.
Well, Monday
are
actually
pretty
used
close.
to be Moon Day.
Yeah, Moon
Yeah.
Day.
Like that was actually
It's
like
only-
a real thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
The more you know.
The more you.
Hooray for history. So,
Yes, some breakfast would be most welcome.
of course. Can I have a pair of platters coming up for you within just a couple of minutes if you're hungry, both of you?
That would be lovely. Thank
3.
you.
3, as it is. And Rainier would head back, shouting for a couple of plates into the kitchen where you can hear sizzling and even over the incredible scent that is Marshall's existence.
Have you tried bathing him?
I'm going to publicly start
succulent
prestidigitationing him.
See, normally this is what takes care of it, but you weren't around yesterday to do it, so it just
Like,
built up.
I am literally not even.
Hydraulic push.
Puts him out the door and hopefully makes him also smell better for whoever's outside. So, Rasheen, as you go upstairs with your new and exciting Dreamstone here, bundle them together and laying down and take a rest. I think I can just tell you because I feel like we've properly isolated a variable here. Make me a will save.
Okay.
Are you still in the tower?
Yes.
He's unconscious.
The last known location is Tower.
I'm telling you, that tower's cursed.
It's a 29.
That's what you get for using the right side. You got to use the other side. Your.
With a 29, as you fall asleep, you would fall quickly to a rest as normal. And sleep, you know those when you're so tired you close your eyes And you don't even, you're not even positive you went to sleep.
Yeah,
And then you just open your eyes, and it's a different time of day. And you feel like you have just had somebody standing over you with a 20-pound sack of potatoes just beating you.
Every day of my life.
Yeah, the,
Open your eyes like to the sound of breaking glass. And
just red with blood vessels streaking throughout. You have one of those sleeps. But you awaken, finally. Not even positive if it's the same year, or if you died in your sleep from your wounds. Asmodeus took you down to the fiery plains of hell. Because it
Felt good.
kind of feels like it. It's really warm, which, seeing as it's still relatively early in the spring, is a bit surprising.
check,
It's,
am I on fire?
It's late Gazrin, so it's starting to warm up outside, but it is warm. And you're not, you know, you're pretty sure you take your armor off, but it definitely feels like you're still just laying in your full plate.
Is this what Doomed 3 feels like?
But as you go to move, the armor doesn't come with you, and you realize it's not the harsh bed of metal that you're laying on, but of stone. And looking around, the area is illuminated, also not by the light of day, but by a red glow coming from below rather than above, not far to your side. And as you look that direction, you can see that there is an enormous pool of lava just spread out. Dozens, if not hundreds of feet. It could possibly be as far as you could even see. It's kind of hard to tell. You just woke up and you're not even positive what planet you're on at this point.
This is surreal. Like, this is just completely surreal. Kind of groaning, push yourself up, and just kind of take in these odd surroundings. Go sleep in an inn in a bed, wake up on a stone ground next to a lava lake.
And you would hear a voice, a woman's voice, not too far away. Oh, finally. Rasheen, can you hear me?
A bit. Yes, where are you?
And
Where are we?
as you look around, you can see there is a woman standing maybe 5 feet past your feet. Hands kind of held, almost worried, one clasping the other in front of her chest. And she's dressed almost in rags, like a beggar, standing barefoot in this massive stone cave next to this enormous pool of incredibly hot lava. She's got long, stringy black hair just sort of clinging down across her back. And she looks down at you. It cocks her head a bit. I can't believe it's finally worked. Rasheen. You still use this name, aye?
My entire life. No reason to put it down. It's a perfectly fine one. I'm rather fond of it.
But
Well, you have me to disadvantage, Miss
Tamati,
Tamati.
and you'd shed everything else I gave you, save for that name and your eyes. And she steps a little bit closer, and you can see that she has the same eyes that you do, well, the same red eye at least, and in both pupils.
Mother? Is it possible?
It is. It is, my child. Rasheen.
It's strangely good to meet you.
I don't, I rarely find myself at a loss of words, but I feared perhaps my calls would never reach you. Only through sheer stroke of absolute luck found any connection.
The connection, was it the stone? You left it for me.
I did.
Sorry it didn't come out well.
No, I understand.
My friends they're protective. It feels odd to say this, but it's good to meet you. Family is even one as odd as mine it's not something lightly cast aside.
This is the first opportunity I've had to lay eyes on you in any capacity since you were but a babe. And even then, I only had the briefest opportunity.
Yes, you found someone good to leave me with. He'd raised me well. That entire village did.
I'd like to think I don't choose poorly. I have access to a great wealth of information and all the time in the world to peruse it. You think I don't want the best for my own daughter?
Well, I'd always hoped. I've tried to learn what I can. Not ever been much fun for books out there in the hamlets, but I learned what I could.
It felt necessary. Many in your situation, they're such hateful things. They turn so fast. It's unrecognizable within years. They rebuke their own blood, the gifts bestowed upon them by the very merits of their creation. And I worried you'd be the same.
Well, I've had a rough time of the world. It gives you a bit of perspective. The rough time had nothing to do with you. Perhaps it's why I can have a bit different perspective.
It's why I imagine everything that you have foreseen. All this power, this connection. I suppose it's the mortal blood in you that drives you to cling to strange vestiges of divinity. But
Oh no! It was foisted on me. In fact, believe you me, it'd be a fine way to retire if I could drop it. But
then, even a greater blessing. Imagine the full powers bestowed upon you by the very circumstances of your birth, backed by the blessing of a god.
it's something that has occurred to me. Quite a retirement plan, isn't it?
It's unthinkable. Do you know how much effort I've put forth into the search? If it wasn't by raw chance, if it wasn't for a rogue, I have to put this into words that you'll understand. Can't throw out things like Forsworn and Nightborn, but does a name perhaps reach your mind? Calamite.
Talent?
Calamite.
Calamite. That's familiar. I remember it shouted.
I don't know if you would have seen much more than her true guise. Curled horns, the smoking steed.
Ah, yes. A rather violent encounter we had not too terribly long ago.
To my understanding, it was your doing, you and your mortal friends that have driven her to become Forsworn.
Ah. Yes, the breaking of her coven. Unfortunate, I suppose it would be from her point of view. To be fair, it wasn't exactly a peaceful meeting we had. Stumbled across each other, actually.
It's okay. When I learned of her connections, that she touched your mind, and that you bore her stone. It's as if you wanted me to find you.
Her stone. The Dreamstone. That's why Resme had such a terrible night's sleep with it. Because it was hag magic it contained.
Indeed. A project of her own. She found herself in a group of terrible friends. Near magicless. Forsworn. Even together. With the power of 3. But their connection with an opportunity to finally reach out to you, Resme. Roshin, sorry. She is well cared for. I know you didn't know of circumstances. You simply did as well as perhaps inevitable for mortal races in our blood to come into conflict. We can't find common ground. It's near impossible. And our aims so different in so many cases. But I've taken you here. I had my 3 already. We had our triumph. But for her, there's almost such a personal connection. I cared for her as I would for you. We made room.
Then your coven is 4 or your coven is 2?
Yeah, triumphs as the power comes from 3s. Never room for 4.
As I suspected, you've made quite a sacrifice.
Well, the sacrifices still can make their own gains. It is as a game of soldiers. You move forward a night into a position of folly to be lost immediately. Put you ahead in the greater state of the board.
Well, as someone who's been that knight on the board before, I can tell you, it's a rough going.
And she turns and gestures to the pool of lava here. Even you, Roshin, cast in here with no background, no knowledge, no understanding. Even you can see the gains of such sacrifice. And turning to the pool of lava, Strymalura! Rise! And the surface of the lava would sort of whirl a bit as you could see something moving underneath it. And a hill of molten rock would rise up as a massive creature emerged from beneath the lava. A draconic visage seeming to be carved of pocked black stone, mounted with enormous horns and a twisting neck down to a truly massive dark obsidian body. A dragon, full-blooded, full-grown, rising up from this lava at her call, smile on her face as she faces this.
Roshin's just gonna kind of step behind her a little bit, just watching this dragon rise out of the lava.
There's no worry, my child.
Stramalura, you called it.
Strymalura. And she owes much of her power now to me. To not harm you.
You have... Goodness gracious, Mother. I'm quite impressed.
You see now what is possible, Roshin. What can be achieved through such sacrifice. The power of triumph. I have Calamite, and her connection to you truly is all I really value in her. Her space could just as quickly be free.
Ah. Indeed. I'm glad to know you, Mother. There's still more things I have to do here. More sacrifice, you understand.
Please. Mortal squabbles. This is the first opportunity I've had to reach you, but Calamite has seen
It won't be the last.
through Resme's dreams, through her mind. Do you deal with what? A group of slavers? Cultists in a jungle?
I deal with what Goddess
The
Milani
Scarlet
charges me
Triad
to do.
is nothing. They seek to make a deal with Strymalura. Why I've come here.
Are you serious? They're going after her?
Seek her aid. And I think our paths will converge here, whether you see the benefit in it or not.
Ah,
If you follow them, you'll find this cavern.
I see. Then, let me make you this promise then, Mother. I'm torn between two worlds right now. I could join you now, but you said it yourself. This divine power you'd be wanting, that would make our bonds unbreakable.
Our triumph would be unstoppable. It would have power unheard of throughout this plane or any other.
Do you honestly think that Goddess Milani would allow me to continue to grow in strength should I join you, though?
Power that you already command just through your blood. Were you to retain this divine blessing, whatever small, eager magic it gives you, this would be a boon, of course, but not one that you would need.
Well, talk to Calamite if you're wondering how small it is. She saw it firsthand.
You found a triad of what? Anis? Ground makers? They call themselves... They dig through mud. Calling it magic, thinking their art holds any sway over anyone with a semblance of thought beyond swinging swords at them. Daimalura! Kovlar will fall, and you will have it. But wait. This is my daughter. Her and her friends will come with Lady Embermead. Hold her off yet longer. You will see.
Very well. What you say is true, then. We'll be coming at this through very different paths, but at the same place regardless. If I use this Dreamstone on other nights, can I still meet you?
Of course.
I'd like that. Even if I can't exactly join the family business yet.
I hope, Roshin, that once you make your way here in person, you'll understand.
That I might.
By the power of your blood, of my blood. If we were to join in ritual, if we were the same triumph, look at what I can do even without you. And imagine what we could do together.
Just gonna look at this dragon again, just kind of staring down at them both. And she's gonna be a little overawed. If our enemies are so powerful as to even be able to make a play for such a beast, then perhaps we can arrange a deal. Oh, hey, look at that thing.
There it is.
Look at that thing. Okay.
It looks like it's vomiting ketchup.
I'm deliberately not looking at the stat block next to it, but I did see that number.
That's fine.
So-
The number scares you.
Please don't join the hag charmed ones.
Oh.
Follow your friends. Do what you must. Fate will bring you to Kovlar.
Then I look forward to our physical meeting. You'll always be my mother, and I love you dearly.
And I you, Roshin. Don't think that I left you out of anything but necessity and wishes for you to have the best chance in your life.
I understand.
Hags make the
Triumvirate.
best mothers from a distance.
I can understand. So it's been... But all in all, most of the tragedy in my life, very little of it has been your doing.
Well,
In fact, I'd say almost none of it has been your doing.
as I said, I have tried to give you the best chance in life possible.
But it's worked out, and for that I'm grateful. Perhaps I'd like to speak with you again later in the future. Depending on the condition I'm in when I wake up, though, it may or may not be safe to do.
That,
But a worthy sacrifice, as you say.
the magic in that stone, linked to Calamite's triumph and to me, will work differently with you as it did your friend. Resme. She has no connection to the magic, so it simply weighs on her. She sees it as nightmares, as like fire and ash and pain. Yours is
Not wrong,
different.
though.
Well,
This is gesturing out to the dragon.
I suppose that much is fair. But please, keep it with you. Return as you will.
I shall.
And think on the value of family, Rashina.
It's never quite left my mind.
And she turns back around from this huge dragon as Strymalura sinks back in the lava here and puts her hands up towards you. The thumbs and index fingers together, almost like a triangle. The rest of her hands splayed. And you feel the heat sort of overwhelm you for a moment as everything goes back to darkness. And at that, you awaken back in your bed.
Why does everything have to traumatize Resme?
The spawn point for anyone that's not attuned with the magic is in the pool of lava. You're having a dream. It's just not fun.
So how does Roisin feel when she wakes up?
Well, you don't feel nearly as rejuvenated as you had when you slept with the Dreamstone. It certainly does not have the same kind of effects. You're definitely fatigued, but it's more because you've only got a couple hours of sleep and stayed up so late, and you don't feel like it's physical detriment. It's not. It doesn't seem to you like any magical effect of the stone.
Okay.
It is going to have none of the benefits of the Dreamstone, but none of the drawbacks that it had for Resme either.
So it's basically just a rock, and if I sleep with it, I get to go meet my mother.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It's a telephone rock.
It is your mom's cell phone number.
I like.
No, you
I had
have
a bad date. I'm calling my mother.
I'm gonna call my mom.
No, you have a pet rock.
Stick her magma drain.
Don't dress it up.
FaceTime your mom.
You have a
So
pet
cool.
rock.
That was so cool.
So is that the medieval magical version of a pager? If you think about it.
It's like a Zoom account.
It's a one-way Zoom account.
It's like an email, but your mom's kind of a boomer, and she only checks her mail like once a day. She has to log in to see
Once a
it.
day. I try it once a week.
Anyway,
So at that point, it would be late morning, getting closer to lunchtime, as Rishim would finally awaken and head downstairs to meet the rest of the party here with whatever early morning errands you would have run. Well, with a couple of hours of day tea, Rasheen does not look like super hell, but still clearly looks a bit exhausted.
Are you okay?
Yeah, actually, I'm fine. Strangely, I'm fine. Starving, actually. What's there to drink? Eat.
Marshall just tosses
Hanging out
you a mug and like a plate full of like
There's
bacon
food.
and eggs.
You've been eating this
Bacon.
entire time.
Huh?
It's been like 2 or 3 hours.
Second
Gotta
breakfast.
recover.
Second breakfast.
Yeah.
You also gotta remember, Marshall is a dumb truck.
That's fair. He never really stops eating. Picking
He only
and
He's
stuff.
not fighting. If he's not fighting, drinking, or eating, he's doing one or the other.
So Roisin falls on the plate of eggs and bacon, like ravenously, and just devours the whole thing, and drinks a lot of water. He's feeling a little dehydrated this morning.
That's fair.
Stay hydrated.
Are you sure you're all right? You seem a bit odd.
I just had a bit of a rough night, but sacrifices all worth it in the end.
Sacrifices.
Yeah, stayed up all night watching you sleep. You're adorable
Aw.
when you sleep. You snore in the most delightful little way.
I do not snore. My brothers say I snore, and they were just doing it to torture me.
Well,
Yeah,
it makes you
you
feel
do.
any better. My little sister snored when she slept too. It was outright adorable.
Okay, fine, I snore.
It's an adorable type of snoring. It's not like it's not like an ugly type of snoring. I promise you.
It reminds me of my mom's snoring. My dad. Oh.
Well, I'm glad you got at least some sleep.
Yes, I did. Any luck getting my armor patched up?
Oh, yeah.
You would have easily been able to do that in the
Yeah.
morning, yeah. That's just like menial repairs that I'm not even gonna bother putting
Yeah,
a price on. It's be fucking coppers.
And I'm just gonna go ahead and take the one.
And I'm an
striker
expert in
mod thing
crafting,
and
so
do that.
Should be
you
able
could,
to-
you could also just fix.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I was just gonna fix it while she was sleeping.
Totally fine.
Thank you. Perfect. Might need it the next time I run into whatever one of those things were.
A wizard?
No. He was easy.
I don't
you
know.
mean
I didn't get to know him very well.
Yes, well, if he suddenly came down with a bad rapier thrust through the throat, perhaps we would have been able to meet him better. Where is Valia, by the way?
Should be here. Valiant's will be here.
There she
And,
is.
Bit of a horse cough.
in other situations, I gladly would have left him alive if for no other reason than we could have learned what he had to say. But given the situation, we didn't need to be surrounded by those that devil machine on one side and a competent wizard on the other.
I think it's probably a wise tactical decision.
One thing I did want to do while she was sleeping is go someplace private and pull out, because I remembered what it is, the books that I got from the wizard's study that talked about, like, the what I like to call the demon dimension, or whatever it was.
The bad place.
The bad place.
The bad place.
The demon dimension.
I
The
mean,
D-mention. Shut up forever. Get out of my house. You're banned.
When she makes puns, she doesn't get punished. When he makes puns, he's immediately the bad guy.
It's a
mean, I
really
guess-
bad pun, though.
Yeah.
It was
Can't
really
let it
good, though.
spread.
I guess in between meals, Marshall could be taking that one striking room from the one of the things from the.
Oh yeah, you could be moving the runes over.
Yeah,
You
just be
could-
like
you could
boop
do that.
boop, and in between, just piece
give-
of bacon.
Give me a crafting check.
Crafting.
Because you need to spend the day doing that.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
you
that's
can
right.
definitely do it while you're eating. Like, that'll be your downtime day to day. Is
Yeah, that's
moving
fine.
the runes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, easy.
Crafting, you said?
Yep. And it's +1 striking, so it's
I don't have anything to exchange, so that's only going to be a whopping 18.
18.
And you break it.
Did you just session reroll day?
I did.
Yeah, you.
Intimidating the barmaid.
This is what you get. This is
Instant
what
karma.
you get.
So I'm guessing this is going to take all day.
You would be you'd be spending the day trying to move the runes over from one of the flails you gotten from the Scarlet Triad thugs onto your new mall. But you wanted to look through the extraplanar registry.
Yeah.
So it's written in Infernal, which you can read that fairly easily. It is very in depth. The extraplanar registry seems to be much what it says on the surface. It is a directory through the various planes
It's like the Demon Yellow pages.
with not to specific individuals so much as to different types of beings throughout all sorts of intersecting dimensions. The inner cover of the book has an interesting diagram that surely you would have seen before in your studies, which is the nesting of the planes, the material plane with the ethereal plane overlapping it, expanding into the heavens and the hells outside of it, ethereal almost askew perpendicular to it, crossing through the various elemental planes as orbs outside, overlapping only in the edges, but the generally accepted overlay of the dimensions. This book is phenomenally thorough, covering every kind of what you would think of as an outsider that you've ever heard of, and even so much more beyond that. And having this on your person will forever just give you a pretty girthy bonus to any kind of knowledge recall about outsiders.
Because
you
I already
can
have planar
quite
lore, but
literally
this
look
will.
them up.
Yeah.
But additionally, looking through it, it is a lot more than that. It does have some references to powerful individuals throughout the cosmos. The Earth Elemental Barons, who run the one of the greatest markets throughout the planes at the center of the plane of Earth. The great citadels within the plane of fire, the Afridi dwell within. Some of their kings and patrons. It is a tome of incredible interest. And through some of these connections, there is a contact ritual. This tome contains the planar ally ritual, which does require a strong divine connection to attempt to basically reach down to the hells, up to the heavens, or to whatever it is that you are pious toward for aid, to contact one of their servants directly. This is not a summoning spell. This does not create an echo. This would literally call angels from the heavens to your side.
Is it the exact same ritual I found in the Hag's lair, or is it different?
When you got in the Hag's lair...
I got Planar Ally also, along with Resurrect.
Yeah,
I'm just curious to see if it had...
This would be a... what the Hags had was a modified version of this.
Okay.
This would be much more because they were, after it for very different kind of things.
That's what I
but
figured.
This is a much more wide-ranging and general purpose spell. Beyond calling them specifically, and without such a requisite divine connection, it is kind of the demonic yellow pages, because it also has a very intricate ritual for contact that would let you reach out to one of the greater beings of the cosmos simply to directly request information. It's the commune ritual.
Hey Cthulhu, what's it gonna be like today?
What's the weather like today?
The
Sup,
commune
Cthulhu
ritual
loser?
is a very powerful divination.
Wow.
But it is, as it is reaching throughout planes, information retrieved is largely limited to functionally yes or no answers. But this ritual, while invested and expensive, would let you call out to your literal god, hypothetically, with questions. There is one more further, more of a failsafe, a ritual so powerful that you can only make some understanding of how it even functions. The magic of this is certainly well beyond your capabilities and even your understanding of magic. But as far as you can tell, it is a ritual to lock and banish a creature, regardless of the plane of origin, the plane of casting, or the home plane.
Wow.
To eject them to their own black demispace, voided from the dimensions.
Jeez.
And with
a
my
nothingness?
with my understanding of the banishment spell, this is 10 steps above that.
This is
Spanish.
Banned
this is
from
a
reality.
ritual. This is a ritual that would require a physical construction of a manifested magical prison, costing thousands of golden enchantments, a minimum of 7 ritualists to commit, but they would be banished from all existence forever.
So if there is an A hole I really needed to delete, this would be the way to do it.
What was the name of the dude with the adventurer's hat and the blunderbuss?
Thaddeus Stoutmore.
We are not banishing Thaddeus Stoutmore.
Thaddeus Stoutmore, come here. You stand in this box for a day.
She's gonna need some considerable time to think about what the implications of having this are. So yeah, it's going back in my bag of holding.
It's possible that greater demons and angels might come for me. If
The
they know
mere
I have this.
existence of this ritual
Yeah.
is
Not
troubling, because this would be something that you honestly would probably never even have considered as possible. Because even, say there is a man and you don't like the man, I don't know, Brazakil Varashma, and you stab him through the throat with a rapier and he dies. He's not banished from existence. His spirit
is somewhere.
goes to the boneyard. It goes to the Spiral Tower, where Pharasma judges it, and then yeets it off to some afterlife, and then he becomes like a petitioner in Axis, or a fiend in hell, or something. This, you, are gone.
Exiled. Removed from play.
Exiled from existence. Enjoy the void.
This is beyond non-existent.
This is something that it's very possible you would piss off Pharasma by casting. Like,
It's like, hey,
that was mine.
it was
you
on my
might get
book.
Psycho Pumps like, could you not? Like,
Excuse me. I know what you're doing. Can I ask you a
Crimson
comment?
Nexus, can we get one thing straight? This is Giga Slave. Don't be throwing that in here if you're gonna get the stuff wrong. This is
so proud of you right now.
this is a step up from Dragon
Throwing them
Slave.
Are we talking about the Slayers right now?
okay,
Yes.
nerds.
Sorry. So Resme is not gonna even tell the party about this right now, not because she doesn't trust them, more because she doesn't want to put them in any more danger than she is in herself.
Jeez, Roshin feels the same way.
And
Not going around today.
and so and also she's starting to think some of them are a little shady sometimes, and she loves them all. But this is staying in the bag
You got
for
a dude with an
now.
axe, a lizard who likes poisoning people, a girl who might have a hag that controls a dragon come after you,
And the Phantom of the
a
Opera
lady
over
who has
here.
a book that might get you banned by Pharasma. So you guys will be fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm the
We're
normal one in the-
becoming higher level protagonists now.
I feel like I'm the
You're not a
normal one
real
in the group.
Pathfinder character until you have at least one thing on your person that pisses a deity off specifically.
That makes sense.
Yeah?
Crap, run the short.
While I'm down here trying not to crap myself, I guess I'll take a look at his spell book also, since I didn't have a whole lot of time to look through that.
Yeah, and his spellbook would have. He was a pretty potent caster. Probably maybe a little. He was about at your level, you would
Mm-hmm.
say. He does have an interesting collection of 6th level spells in here, and I can give you the spells that he has.
Yeah, that's fine. You just we
later.
can do it later.
But of interesting note, as you are able to read through them, they are arcane, so you can read through them perfectly fine. He has 2. He actually shares a lot with you. He's got Black Tentacles, he's got Cone of Cold, he's got Dispel, he's got Dimension Door.
minute.
He's got
He-
Fire
he-
Dazzle,
you the
Field,
bad wizard?
Fireball,
He is a
like-
man of fine, refined taste.
Is-
Have you ever
Visibility
seen
and mirror
her and him in
image
the
and-
same place
It's
at the same
al-
time?
wait, it's almost like there
There's a
are
pretty
spells that are
standard list.
useful
Yeah.
and there are spells that are not useful, and I take the ones that are.
I found her secret identity.
Stop it.
I pieced it together.
Actually, you know what? You can just step right in.
Stop
I'm
it.
Razak Ilvaraj,
What happens?
Wait
Master
a minute.
Conjurer.
What happens if you speak with dead and you pretend to be them in such an exquisite fashion they can't even be mad?
I'm just a really confused ghost. I don't know.
Logic.
But a large portion of his spellbook is dedicated to summoning rituals that he has organized, like several pages of potent devil binding spells. They are all very specifically aimed at summoning and employing devils and fiends, and wouldn't really be usable for anything else. But he has those for literally 1st or 2nd through 6th level. He has
Wow.
he has Summon Fiend as a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th level spell on his spell list.
This man had-
one goal.
Dude, this
He
man
wanted
had
to
no
summon
dating life.
Friggin' Velstrax.
He had no
if
dating
Marshall
life.
Never Kool-Aid Man through that wall. We would literally probably still be fighting.
His goal is cast Wall of Force, which is also in there. Cast Wall of Force on the door. Summon Fiend, Summon Fiend, Summon Fiend, Summon Fiend, Summon Fiend, and just like yeet devils out the hallway at you. And he can Black Tentacles, which doesn't have to like go out. He can just be like, that room is tentacles now. So he is kind of a menace. But,
A menace.
but we
3
have
turns in.
he's a well, because I mean, like the biggest thing he can summon, because they took summon spells and brought them very in line in 2nd edition. 6th level summon can summon the blue chain guys.
Yeah.
So like they're not that's the highest level thing he can summon, and he can do that once, and then he has to start going down the ladder. So
Yeah.
like he's gonna summon mild annoyances while he sits in his room being a nuisance.
Typical summoner strategy.
Which is, I'm gonna step out of the character, the GM, the gaming seat for a second here. Is kind of indicative when they literally made a boss caster that was a summoner that's still a garbage level threat to the party. That they were like, hey, summoning, we don't do that here. Out of 2nd edition. Like it's there, but man, it's really hard to make. They even gave him like, he has boss crap. Like
That's a spell?
he has a perk. Because you even have to sustain summons now. So it takes an action every round to keep him around. He even has boss bull crap that says when he summons, he gets hasted for free and can only use the action to sustain the spell.
That's hilarious.
And he's still crap. Like, Summoner. That's okay. Summoner playtest was coming. We'll get the actual class. But, like, a Summoner Wizard seems like they're so bad they'd be unplayable in second. I don't know how. It'd be hard to make it work.
So
You'd have to try real hard.
So that one big thing with the needle
Which is
eyeballs or
good, because it
whatever,
was stupid
That was
in
the
first and I
actual
hated
boss
it.
Yeah.
So,
That was the actual boss fight.
I thought that was like a different version of like Ray or something.
All right.
should
I mean,
say Paizo's mechanics were stupid on the Paizo channel? I'm doing it. They were stupid, but you fixed it, so it's good.
But they're better now.
But they're better now.
we love second edition.
I'm addicted. I can't go back, man.
Me
That
too.
is so good.
Second is so
Before we
good.
step
Give a
back in
nasty
character,
email
I get
later.
asked occasionally, "You gonna play more first edition?"
No.
I don't know if I can go back, man. Second's so
Second-
good.
To be honest with you,
Second is like
second
so
is more
good.
inviting.
It's-
First
it's
edition's a rundown little hall at the end of the street with no lights. Second is like a nice big mansion with a warm
Like, I
hearth.
liked first at the time. It was great, but now that I've played second, I don't know that I can go back, man. It's
Dude,
just like,
it's like the difference
they
between
fixed
drinking
everything.
Lagavulin
The
and
way-
Captain Morgan.
The way I built the
don't
first
know what
edition
either of those
character was I just went online and looked up a build and copied it. Like it was
That's probably
literally-
wise.
Yeah.
Probably wise.
It was
Yeah.
like, I can't do all this research.
But
and
it's
all
like,
this
oh, they fixed everything, man. I love second
And
edition.
second
anyway.
edition, if this feels like you can make a character, throw whatever you want on it, go, this is my character. Let's do it.
Both is good. Both is good. Yeah, I
Just
did both. Is good.
Take everything from
More campaigns
first
for you.
edition and port it over to second edition,
I mean-
so you have more campaigns.
Just port it, just like with a magic
There's a Discord
wand.
for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway,
All right. Max.
So, this she'll
Character.
maybe she'll sell this. Maybe. I mean, it's not super threatening. She'll probably just tear out the summoning
so
things.
the knowledge contained within, as is quite valuable.
Yeah.
You reckon that to a wizard powerful enough to understand what he has, this extra planar registry could be worth.
Oh no, the extra planar registry
Like-
ain't going anywhere. I'm
Oh,
talking
you're
about the spell book.
rituals. They would be near useless without the information that is in the book, because the commune and the
right.
planar ally are referencing
So
the members in the registry. But
It's-
this book, just so you know what you got, you could probably sell this to a wizard for 1,500 gold. Like this is a valuable book. That you
What
have.
about just the spell?
that's what I meant. Just the spells
What
part
if
of
I
it.
rip the pages out? That's what I mean. They'd be useless without the rest of the book.
No,
The-
like
the spell book.
wall of force.
Oh, the dude's spell book.
Yeah, the dude's
oh, I'm
spell
talking
book.
about the extra planar
Oh
registry.
no, that's not going
I
anywhere.
have literally no idea what a spell book is worth. I'd
We'll
have
calculate
to.
that
Yeah,
later.
we can figure out later. It's a 6th level caster's spell book. It's probably decent, but I have to look up
Not
how spell books
1500.
Yeah,
are.
no.
Like,
I mean,
don't want to do that right
you
now.
could offer me a kingdom, and I still wouldn't give anybody this book. It's
What
not
about-
going anywhere.
What about two
Like
kingdoms?
a nice kingdom or a crap kingdom?
Like Breach Hill
like
or like
Breach Hill or
Cheliax?
yeah.
I don't
about-
want either of those
What
things.
about Absalom?
I mean, absolutely, but not right now. Maybe
You're
next
welcome.
campaign.
Wait, no, you're a weeb. You gotta go to Tanja.
Why are you using like strange like words?
Anyway,
Anyways,
Stop
done-
speaking Moonspeak.
by the time that Rasheen wakes up and comes down, you've had a couple of hours to look through this and pour over both Brazok's spellbook and the Explainer Registry and find what you can of interest. I think the high notes in the spellbook that might be useful to you is Wall of Force, if you don't already know that, which is a 6th level spell. He also, you can see what he did initially in the battle. There is a spell that is much akin to Dimension Door, but rather than focusing your own essence to a point in space, it is controlling all of the space around you, allowing you to relocate entire groups of creatures, and focused as it is, willing or otherwise, within the sphere. Collective Transposition is a 6th level spell that is also in his thing. It lets you teleport anybody that is within 30 feet of you to somewhere else within 30 feet of you.
I like it.
Within 30 feet of you. Oh.
Does it?
So he took all of the he couldn't see you guys. He couldn't target you, but he had all of the devils that were in the room with him, and he took them to within 30. They were within 30 feet of him. He put them within 30 feet of him on the other side of the wall. I just literally threw them randomly.
That
in
was
the room.
his will. That
That
was
was his wheelbarrow.
To chuck 'em
That was
chuck
how
'em
he. Yeah,
across
that
the
was
Huh.
how he got them into the room in the first place. He collective transpositioned and like, you're here, go to that room. I don't know where
Interesting.
because I can't see what's going on in there, but in there.
Huh.
Does that
That's
follow?
Sold a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Forced
Like tactically
movement.
repositioning. Like you could basically take a fight and just tactically reposition
Nick,
everything to make
take
it
Pretty
take
much.
take your nerd hat off for
Pretty
a second.
much, you could absolutely use this to reposition nearly everybody in the bubble because there's a limit on targets, but it's pretty high.
What if we were all flanking all of you?
Yeah.
Let's see, collective transposition.
What if your fighters
Trade places.
So in the
So-
front.
So normally,
Fighters in the other room.
if you cast it to the height of your ability, you are going to be able to only target a pair of creatures with it. But every time it
Yeah.
heightens, it gets more creatures. That's its heighten, is you can target more things.
Yeah, I'm.
Say you're on top of a wall.
Yeah, it's a spell in the arcane list that you can
Yeah,
just take.
You can just it's just a regular.
It's just a regular spell.
Yeah, hypothetically, this is the out of character section of the show, I guess. I thought about it. I looked at what collective transposition does, and I was like,
Neat.
What are the
two members of the party, the other side of the window, fall 8 stories and die.
Yeah.
Like,
right?
See, and the first thing
I'm
I
obviously not doing that, but you could. He
Well,
and the
not if he
first
throws a wall of
thing-
force in the way, because then he has no line of effect to us. But
doesn't need line of effect.
really.
He's able to target you, but it's not like it's not a line of effect kind of thing. If it's within 30 feet, I'd say he needs line of sight. He needs to be able to effectively target you, but I don't think he needs line of effect to do something like that.
Oh, so you could actually cast that
It's
to a
like,
wall of force.
yeah, it's like fear. I'm pretty sure, like black tentacles. I'm pretty sure you can cast that on the other side of a wall of force.
but it's like also since we're going to like anime day school, we could also use it to like make like a kissing scene really awkward, where all of a sudden like you
Well,
thought
okay, you're done with that thought. Anyway, so Rasheen,
My head suddenly hurts.
banned to the void. Rasheen,
Where's that fan spell?
back to this, where you come back down. You have this book. You've read through all this. You've learned what you can from it. You could also make another attempt to identify that thurible, by
Sure.
the way, because it is a new day.
As well.
And you as well, while we're doing stuff here, could agree attempts to identify
Go
the
away.
4 little things in the gem to 10.
Identify.
see
That's gone forever.
Rewarded.
It lives down there.
You've taken more stats classes than me. You know that's
So-
bullshit.
That's a 32
I got a 40.
to identify the unknown poison.
You got a 40.
Yes, I did.
So you
Nice.
are going to get this outright. That is a solid critical success. What you have here, this strange sensor, is a moderate thurible of revelation, which with the critical success I will just give to you absolutely directly. You know everything that it does. You can use it as an incense burner, and it does take some semi-rare incense put within it. You gotta spend about 5 gold's worth to activate it. But once you activate it, it'll burn for an hour, and as long as you're holding it, you get a +2 bonus to all religion checks. You cannot critically fail to decipher religious writing. It's a moderate thurible revelation. You can just put in your thing too. But also once per day, when you turn it on, you can activate the latent magic in it to make it stronger for that hour. And for one action, you can hold the sensor up, the burning sensor of incense, in front of your face and look through it,
And have asthma?
and you will get see invisibility for the rest of the round.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
That's awesome because I just like totally threw that spell away.
It's actually pretty neat. It's pretty.
That
neat
is
little thing.
really neat, yeah.
So you, comrade, are able to finally identify with another day, another morning of alchemical work, these 4 little nuggets in the gemmed tin. A 40 is also you got a 30.
I got a 32.
32 is a regular success. You would know that this resin is a contact poison, so it's not something you could easily slap onto your weapon. But it's made from a sap excreted by a tree infected by an incredibly virulent fungus. It's not the fungus itself that's the poison, it's what it causes the tree sap to exude once the tree has been overrun. But the result is a ridiculously potent poison. We're talking north of 30 saving throw. Ridiculously potent poison that is just going to do a crap load of damage. So a contact poison of you probably will maybe die. You maybe die. If you fail this a couple times, you probably die. Very lethal.
All
Write
right.
that
And
down,
what's the name
kids.
of the?
Your thing?
Yeah.
Moderate Thurible of Revelation.
Thank you.
I got on the book.
Okay, great.
Yeah, crit success, you just know everything about it.
Well, she didn't pocket that when no one was looking, so I wrote it down.
Fair.
Well, it's not in the hidden corner. So we'll switch back over to you for the day here, for a moment here, Trishik, because are you going back or are you addicted to everything that is in this alchemy lab here?
Well, we got stuff here. I don't want it to go bad.
Fair answer.
Can't let it go bad, man. It's too good.
It's valuable. It's free resources that I can turn into more money
It's
or
free real
useful
estate.
poison.
It's free real estate.
It's already here. Why not use it?
So what do you want to... Are you going to downtime day here to work on this?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to work on the scorpion poison, or do you want to work on the...
Well, the scorpion poison is not necessarily known until I start playing with it, but it's
No,
a
that
given
one's
considering the
done. Yeah,
scorpions.
it's done enough that it's pretty confident. That one
So-
would take like a day of work.
Yeah, I want to finish that and get whatever I can out of that.
Okay, so I mean, give me a craft check. It's friggin' scorpion venom. I don't think you can fail this. It's half-baked scorpion venom.
24.
Yeah, you're fine. On a 24 and another day of downtime here in the tower, you'll be able to finish a batch, giving you six more doses of giant scorpion venom, which is entry-level poison.
It's money.
It's money. It's not particularly potent, but it doesn't feel good.
Oh yeah, if you decide to rub it on like rubbing alcohol on a cut, probably wouldn't feel too good.
Probably
but,
don't do that. Is the
yeah.
thought that you could have.
No, so that sounds like 14 monies.
Ray
Total.
money.
Speaking of money, one thing I did want to do today, since we've already kind of done half the day sleeping and just kind of hanging around,
Get into the early afternoon.
is to go back to the guy who we gave the other half of the beta to see what he was able to make, because he was working on some stuff for us.
Oh, yeah, he's just trying to make you leather, right? Like,
Yeah.
You just want straight leather.
I thought you wanted gloves.
Yeah, we wanted
gloves?
we
'Cause
wanted
they're
gloves and
acid-proof
boots.
Gloves.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough.
Gloves and boots.
I forgot. It's been a
about that.
minute since that happened. I knew you left it with him. I knew you wanted him to do something, but I wasn't sure if it was just make leather.
Gloves and boots.
So as you go to leave into town to head off, mentioning you have a man making beta leather for you, Valia interrupts for a moment. If I may, I would like to, ask to borrow the assistance of either Miss Eleonora or Mr. Sheen for a moment. Not for the whole afternoon, but for at least some time.
Well, they're not my woman slaves. You ask them.
Eleanor's just sitting at a table, like
That
sewing
changes
needle in her
depending on
mouth.
Resume's mood at the time, by the way. You caught her at a lucky moment.
Well, I'm afraid I'm not quite familiar enough with your structure to know if that's a jest or not, so I hope
They're not my employees. Unlike the last group that I was traveling with, they're they won't be employed by me.
She has a contract and everything. It's actually rather interesting. What about independent contractors? Something like that sort.
This
But
is
at any
the-
rate, I'm more than happy to help you out with it. If you
Heroes
need.
of Breach Hill thing that you had spoken of, some in the Mongi Jungle.
Right.
Well, that's excellent to know that your business has been thriving then. You've been able to hire such effective mercenaries.
Yes. It has been.
Well, she's not wrong.
Oh,
I have.
just little stuff in his face and stuff just in the corner.
Speaking of which, I'm really going to need your signature on this before we go much further.
My signature on what?
Oh,
It's a good deal.
contract.
It's a good deal.
It's
You
an
should take
excellent
it.
deal.
Oh,
Well, Lady Rasheen,
I'm afraid I can't sign that.
if you would.
Why not?
I don't have my family seal with me. Can't.
Oh, of course. I'll be happy to wait if we want to make it all official.
Actually,
Yeah.
Oh, you're
I have
too
a
young to
question.
consent for yourself, are you?
Well,
I've heard
no.
of that in some places.
Well, it's not that. It's that the fact that anyone can go around signing any nobility's name to any piece of paper they want and it'd be legally binding. So you put a family seal on that only the family would have, and therefore it's proven that I'm the one that signed it.
So these family seals are magically enchanted to prevent anyone not of the family from using
Well,
them.
It's I'm not going to get in that discussion. I think it's all stupid said done, but I ain't going to go sign
It's a
no
very
piece of
common
paper.
practice among noble families to ensure that these.
It sounds like signing your name with extra steps. It sounds like something the nobility have cooked up to make it seem more fancy when they sign their names.
That's about it, but I'm still not going to go all above
She pulls up her book and
pomp and
holds it up with one
posture.
hand and starts
Oh, you're getting pretty good at that.
paging through.
Either way,
I carry mine around with me.
Actually,
I do not.
You might say
I kind of left it back at
very
home when I left. Didn't really find the need to be signing no pieces of paper. You're getting really good at that, aren't you?
on that note,
What's up, Marshall?
I was gonna ask. I remember Iggy told me about the engineer or whatever on the other side of the bridge.
Right.
I'm gonna go visit them, and in character, Marshall's like, you know what? Enough of this. He puts the drink down. You, points there. I'm gonna fix your problem. Walks off, carries his stuff.
Either way.
Right, well, now that that's out of the way, what can I do for you?
Yeah, how can we help? Just put it away.
Well, she just references it directly. It says in here that typically seals of familial nobility are used to. It is much the same as a signature, but to ensure just an additional layer of security against any kind of fraudulent additions. Of course, it is. A name signed is one thing, but it's generally a mere formality, demonstrating binding, whereas a sigil is something recognizable and more difficult to reproduce appropriately.
Like this. She'll actually take out her own family seal.
It makes sense, but
Oh, look at you.
it's been some time since I've been in the company to have to worry about messing with such things. And she just kind of holds the book and sort of looks at the book kind of oddly and puts it back on her hip. Right, well, I don't want to occupy too much of your time, Lady Roshane, but I imagine this would take perhaps an hour, maybe two.
I have it to spare.
Much as you're willing to assist me, of course.
Of course. You've fought alongside us and bled more than most of us have. You've earned that much at least.
Well, Miss Galadriman and Lady Eleonora, let me not delay you to your to your day's errands. I have a few things to gather, and I'll have Miss Roshane back to you before the evening.
I'm going to go get some gloves and boots, but if you need to run home and grab anything before you come back, please feel free to do so.
Well, home's kind of far away.
Well, why don't you come with me then?
She's like looking at her dress that has still torn up. She was trying to sew.
Thought you were wearing something different.
I am wearing it. She has it spread out in front of her. She was talking to you all while doing this.
Darling,
Fine,
that's a
she's-
lost cause.
Anyway,
Nothing's a lost cause if you don't give up on it.
So the two of you, Resme and Eleanor, can make your way to the southern side of the town, out from the docks district here, and across to the other side to Old Kintargo, where you had met with the leatherworker that was working a bit of the beta, and for the payment of just a chunk of the beta itself, he's agreed to make you a couple pairs of gloves and boots. And after a few days' work, they have come to fine fruition. They are an interesting sort. The hide of the beta, when tanned and treated, still rough and thick. Of course, the scales across it making it far less malleable than traditional leather. So even the lining on the inside of the gloves is a relatively thick, if padded, leather, just to ensure that the scales of on the backs of one finger don't rip through the lining of another. The inside of the glove is this rough, thick leather. And as he hands the pairs of them over to you, there's not much I could do with them aside from making thick workman's gloves. With skin like this and scales, no real possibility to make something finer.
No, work gloves are exactly what I wanted.
But they'll certainly be near indestructible, the backs of these things, and they're very difficult to treat. Admittedly, a lot of the tanning process here involves a lot of chemical work, and the vats out back. There's a foul smell that you can smell even out on the road walking by. These near resisted half of the treatments we had to do to them. We had to go to levels of concentrates that I've never worked with before. So I'm glad to say that they came out fine enough.
They're wonderful.
It's something unique to me, but it was a learning process. It took a bit of it to do some samples and work with beforehand to make sure things were going to work out as I expected. Learned from that and refined a few pairs of these.
Oh, thank you.
No,
So
thank you for this opportunity.
2 or 3?
How many did you want?
I ordered 3, but I didn't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
great.
gave me a huge chunk of beta. I mean, he's going to give you as many as you wanted.
And then I'd ordered 2 pairs of boots.
They would have those as well. Much the same, but fitted with thicker, layered soles that are much more rigid, as befitting boots of the kind.
Oh, thank you. They're perfect. They're going to be so lovely when I put glitter and jewels on them.
But I just make sure you're careful with whatever you're mounting on them. If you're using some kind of agent to try to bind things to the scales, know that is going to be borderline impossible.
I was kidding. These will not be going to the ball with me, I'm afraid.
But they are, I imagine, boots and gloves that last you the rest of your life. I will be more than impressed if you manage to wear shoesies.
It's unlikely. Thank you so much. Your craftsmanship is, as I was led to believe, unparalleled.
It's been a pleasure working with them.
And when I use them, I'll be sure to tell anyone who asks me who made them.
With that, you would be left in the lobby of Eulobalus for a minute.
Just a minute of peace.
While she looks briefly through the book here. There, but you're functionally by yourself. Putting it back, and then Valia would lead you a little out into town. Up once more into
I'm
the...
not following her down an alley.
I'm not following you down an alley. Get bugged.
We played this game before.
Staying on the north side of the area, up out of the harbor, up into the Vallejo, near the Greens, near the Noble District on the northeast side of the city, outside the wall. She stops inside a different inn, much deeper in town, and as I said, I must fetch a few things briefly, and if you give me just a moment, I'll be right back.
Yeah, very well.
Heads inside, briefly checks in with the concierge, heads in the back, and comes back with what looked like a pair of very simple swords in thick wooden sheaths, almost rectangular. Which is bundled over under the only arm that she has. Right.
I was about to ask why you were holding it like this.
For demonstrative purposes. It's yay big. It's a sheath sword, but she's holding it like this. Right. I saw how you can fight, Lady Roshin, and it's admittedly quite impressive. I was hoping you would... slip into the freaking Chelish accent. I was hoping that you would help me practice a bit. This change is unfortunately one that makes much of my teachings pointless. Without an arm for counterbalance, I find myself pretty much unable to feint or even reach for the simplest of lunges.
I see, I understand.
I'm not sure how to defend myself with one arm. And if I'm to continue following you after the Scarlet Triad, or even if it's just as far as the quarry, I won't be a burden.
I understand. I say I appreciate your dedication. Not many would be willing to go this far, having lost what you have.
Perhaps some would say I'm a fool to take things so personally, but when somebody uses me as Brazokil Verosma did to enact some wicked unknown ends, that's not something I simply let go.
I understand. I don't feel the same way on a personal, visceral level, but I can understand it. Barak and his organization have wronged me very similarly, and they've wronged many people. They have it coming to them, and if we're the ones to deliver it, then so be it. In the meantime, let me see those.
Wooden training swords. Obviously, I wouldn't see any real injuries come to us, but something firm and balanced enough that it's worth its weight in the practice.
So Roshin doesn't normally fight with small swords.
Right.
She's this giant
There
thing.
would be short swords.
So she's gonna kind of pick one up and just kind of hold it in front of her face, and just kind of her eyes are kind of blink a little bit, and then she's going to slip into an entirely different stance with the sword than she's ever taken before, because battle oracles get their training through basically collective memories of past swords masters. So it's like she picks up a sword and she just remembers a master and how he used it.
Sword.
Avatar state.
Sword master.
It's basically
I'm going
like
into
Matrix
battle.
kind of thing. It's like I need to know how to use a short sword now. Okay, all right, I got it. And she'll try one sword and she'll put it down and pick a different one up and
She only
get a
brought
different
two.
style. Oh, okay, so it's like the same thing.
It's a pair of wooden short swords.
Okay, I understand.
It's like a pair of blunted training short swords. They're big enough, and they seem to be solid oak, so they're hefty enough to largely mirror an actual sword, but being wood, the edges are completely blunted and it has no point. It's
Okay.
just rounded at the end.
So Roshin's going to think on it for a minute, and then she's going to take a stance where her offhand is behind her, holding on to the back of her shirt, and she'll hold her stance sideways and practice a few poses. Yes, I think this would be the one.
That's interesting. Admittedly, I've only had an hour or two to play around with ideas and theory craft, but that's something close to the best I figured out.
I can't tell you where it came from, but I can tell you it works. I run into the basics.
Well, it seems I've picked the right person for the job then. Lady Roshin, if that is a proper title.
Just Roshin. I'm none of noble birth.
Miss Roshin, then, I believe the titling would be.
Miss... Yes, I'm not married yet. I suppose it would be.
It's something I'm familiar with jumping through for resumes, friends.
And you'd be Miss Valia? It's only proper if I extend you the same honorific courtesy.
Lady Valia Arganzazimov.
Lady...
If you wish the full title.
Lady Valia it is.
Thank you.
Now then, perhaps the War Cage. It's the only place in town I know that has enough space, and certainly isn't against us flailing around with various things.
Far across town. There's a park here in the Greens. Not far. An open hill. Children fly kites on it quite frequently, but there's a lot of open space.
Well, we can keep an eye on the kites too, just in case.
We'll leave them plenty of space.
And Roshin is going to teach her how to fence one-handed. Which is something she has never done before.
Maybe
By the power of Battle Oracle.
But is curiously
Don't
good at
worry,
it.
I can do this. I got you under control.
Kind of makes me think of like a divine magical matrix, like when they download the fighting styles.
Very similar, honestly.
It's just Avatar.
Resme will wrap up the gloves for Trushika and Marshall. Since he's an alchemist and he likes to work with metal, she thought that they would be extremely useful to both of them.
That's actually a very good idea. Thank you.
And then she'll tie up the other pair of boots with a ribbon because they're women's boots, and she'll leave them for Roshin on her bed.
So, last but not least, Marshall, you make your way into town to this clockmaker. Across the bridge, following along with them for most of the journey, but then forking off near the tannery.
I feel horrible because I already forgot the dude's name, but I'm going to see him.
Did I give you a name?
No.
The
Pretty
tanner?
sure I
You
just-
did.
No, the clockmaker.
You did.
You
Give me
did.
the name of the clockmaker?
You did.
It started with an A. It started with
Crap,
an
was
A.
it Aurelius?
Yes.
It was Aurelius.
It started with an A. I remember that.
Clockmaker.
Yeah, it's right here in our notes.
Right here.
Right here in his notes, Squid.
Clockmaker. I didn't write that one down.
All right. So,
Dang it, we're even now.
Marshall, typical Marshall fashion, opens the door. Hello? Anyone here?
And
Door flies off its hinges.
it is a relatively small, very cluttered little office. Fortunately, you are a dwarf, so you're not particularly tall in the first place. But
I'm a big dwarf, though.
You're a big dwarf. You may be too wide for the door, but you're not going to be too tall. The building itself, with a simple sign, a large, like flat, almost brass plate gear hanging from a horizontal rod inside to a dimly lit, very cluttered workshop. And inside on a desk spread equally with small springs and bits of metal, as it is with parchments, documents and various schemata, you would see a man who is very, very tiny. A gnome or a halfling. It's not immediately clear through the incredibly bushy, largely disheveled, kind of silvered hair, both across his head and down around his face into a beard. As he looks up, he has the largest spectacles you have ever seen perched onto his face, with a loop of wire across the middle of them, and then another band around the back just holding them to his head. Welcome, of course. Sorry.
Are you? He looks at his arm and even written in like poorly written like mud on his arm. Aurelius, right?
Aurelius, yes. Did you have a clock or watch or something needed fixed?
Not quite exactly. My buddy Iggy, he over at the war cage, sent me to see you about these. Digs around, pulls out the 2 giant robot arms.
Which would be so large that they'd be difficult to withdraw without knocking into stuff in here. But clearly Marshall doesn't care. So you take these huge things, and he kind of jumps back and throws up his hands. Oh! Hold on. And he pulls the glasses off of his head and roots around in a drawer under his desk for what look almost like binoculars that he puts on, and starts cranking one end of them as he peers down to the end of this. These... Where did you find these?
Let's just say it cost an arm and a leg, but you know. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to. Anyway.
The Dean of the Alabaster Academy it actually paid good coin to have these constructed. It's a shame to see them in such a state.
Well, it's like I said, long story. But I was wondering if you could possibly do a favor in exchange for whatever I can provide with this.
Perhaps. I mean, this is a lot of still usable material back. These are complex crafts, and they seem to largely still be intact. As he's kind of like moving fingers, and as he's working with it, he's clearly already completely familiar with how the mechanisms of the hands move.
That's exactly what I need to hear.
And he's trying different parts of it. It's in surprisingly good shape.
Well, that's good. That's what I wanted. So, I have a deal for you if you're interested. I'll let you keep one of them for your own whatever measures you want to use them for. Just take one of them and make them about human size, about big, about roughly, and he roughly explains what he has an idea for. Because I have a friend who's
You want to make it a human-sized alchemical golem needle hand.
Yeah, I have a friend who's quite literally missing an arm, and I feel bad, so I kind of want to replace it for her.
You lost your arm, let me curse you with needle hands.
Well,
Call you needle hands.
Whoa.
I'm afraid I don't have much use for this in its current state. This was quite a project, though. I'm curious to know how it ended up here.
Well, if you want, I can go back and try and fish out the rest of it.
Well, these golems were only commissioned by the Academy
Wait,
a
by
few
the
weeks
Academy?
ago.
I'm gonna have to tell the others about that. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Marshall's like, that sounds like something someone who thinks should talk about.
Well, are you with the Academy? The Dean sent you.
No, not at all. I'm a mercenary for hire.
Was it? You can see his gears kind of.
Wait a minute.
Well,
I hardly see how one of these is a human-sized prosthetic would be useful. You wouldn't be able to actuate any of the fingers. You could hang, but you wouldn't be able to attach human muscle to the outside of these. These work through pneumatics.
well, in that case,
And besides, your hand would be syringes. And you couldn't do fine manipulation. Even simple act of well, even grabbing hold of anything would be near impossible.
I understand, but this is for a friend who is very good at stopping things, like really good at stopping things.
Well, if you
I don't want her to be able to pick anything up.
if you're a mercenary and you're hoping for a weapon, I'm sure you would find much much better uses or much better purposes to serve for that than the repurposed arm. This was just meant for experimentation. This is simply meant to dilute and to precisely maneuver the tips of the syringes for various experiments or test or productions. It was never meant to be sturdy enough to swing around like it's a sword or a club.
No. Well, in that case, if you can't exactly make a prosthetic, fully functioning prosthetic arm for it, maybe you could turn it into, I don't know, some type of gauntlet or something. Where, like, could you imagine?
Different syringes fills your shot glass with a different type of alcohol.
I think it'd be better served with a weaponsmith. Everything I work with is traditionally much finer.
What if a giant light bulb in Marshall's head just dinged? What if you, me, and Iggy got together and made this a group project? He immediately gets excited.
Well, perhaps, maybe, but something of this kind, something of this complexity, you could maybe, I suppose, actuated by switches. It would be an interesting design. And he pulls out a piece of like rough paper and starts with a stick of like charcoal, kind of like immediately sketching some stuff. I suppose I could retrofit it to a gauntlet, and you'd be able to activate. You could use individual fingers for extension, but I could spring load this. I could even attach a greater, if you wanted as a collective, to more of like a wrist-loaded mechanism.
Well, I figured out if that was the case, since the whole prosthetic arm thing isn't really going to work, because like I said, I originally want to help out my armless, and what if she could still use it as like a gauntlet that can just shoot out the needles, stab them with her free hand in case she doesn't have a sword or some type of interesting toy for her to play with. And if not her, maybe one for me.
This is really for Marshall because you just said free hand.
It's certainly something that
Stop
that would be doable, but it would be complicated. This would take some time to design and produce. Most of what we have here wouldn't really be able to retrofit easily. This was all meant to work with pneumatics from a much larger internal source.
Oh, trust me, I know large. I can make that happen. However, tell you what if I go back to the tower and get the rest of the parts from whatever's left of the golems, and we work with it then? Would that help you?
Perhaps.
Done.
But
He's just out.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Very confused little small engineer gnome / halfling. Still not entirely clear because you can't see much of him in the dark room, kind of swirled behind this desk, writing by a little bit of lamplight and the sunlight coming in.
I have dark
Pretty
vision,
dusty
sir.
window.
Do you think I care?
Well, you can, but you still can't see him. He's still pretty squished behind the desk. You can pretty much see his top half, some big overalls. He's even got some pretty thick glove on one hand. It's not enough of him to see to even make a full species distinction.
I guess.
But as you run off in great excitement to go meet Trishik in the tower.
Yep.
Might not actually run into me.
No, I guess the golem's on the landing immediately
Yeah.
outside the room, I suppose.
Well, like I said, my main purpose of this was originally to help out Lady Valera, right? Valia, sorry. I don't know why I said Valera. But Valia, with the arm thing, since, we can't really reattach her old
Like
arm.
giving her a needle fist.
Now it sounds
The most barbarian thing I've ever heard in my life.
But at the same time, I was like, well, if it doesn't work and it's already large, I could just make it like a stabby gauntlet thing. That would be really cool.
You can just grow into it and then punch you.
Yeah, now we're just going to make her into a Marvel villain. It's going to be
I can
fun.
just put poison in the needles, and you punch people with the needles.
See?
And
We just went off the deep
poison.
end.
It sounds like something we should figure out
Next session.
Next
week.
section, yes.
There's a reason why that side of the
But I
table
at least
decided to
figured
eat
this would take a process.
What do you think I've
so
been
We
that's
have
why I
a
started.
great
myself up for
table
2 days.
divide here. We have the heroic adventuring party on this side of the table.
And the
fully
cannibals.
competent warriors, and we have these guys.
I've been sustaining myself on corpses for 2 days.
But I do.
What have you been drinking?
What? I have
He's a
water
lizard.
skin.
He doesn't care.
Is that gonna last you for
Like
2
you
whole
walk
days?
in, you
I
think
can just
ghouls
go out
and
and
You also
Well,
have
That means you left the
rations.
tower.
Actually, I've got an entire alchemy lab.
Just gonna reach for your water.
You also have rations!
No, I don't.
Why?
She doesn't need them, clearly.
I mean,
My rations consist of people I've put into my bag of holding. Currently, there's no one in my bag of
everybody
holding.
for hanging out.
Why is my good character hanging out with all of you?
Because you don't see this part.
Don't know.
when you don't see it, you don't know.
Blade Tiger has a point.
Yes.
We'll see you all
Yep.
next week.
Yep. Next week, guys.
It is, I believe, next week is Christmas week. We have one
No,
more.
no, no. We
No,
have
one
one
more.
We have one more. Well, it doesn't matter because we should be streaming that
don't
weekend
judge me.
anyway.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna-
Next week we're chasing our quarry.
I'll give you that one. That's actually
I mean, might as well.
Yeah,
it's not terrible.
that's not terrible, and we're doing it.
Next week, there isn't much left to wrap up in Cantargo here, and rested and prepared as we're going to be. We still have to pursue the Scarlet Triad down to the
Yes.
quarry. It'll take a while for word to reach them if it's some 100 miles away. But it's not going to be forever before they realize their contacts in Cantargo have gone dark. We're going to find Varys.
What about
Yes.
their contacts that went to Breach Hill?
We're going to do stuff to the Scarlet Triad. And maybe, is this actually the head of this beast? We can learn literally anything
And maybe we're
about what they're trying to do. We still have nothing on the Scarlet Triad.
and
in
maybe
here.
we'll
I mean,
cannibalize more of their resources.
We got
Rasheen
so
has an
many.
idea of what they might be trying to do.
It may involve a magma dragon.
It may involve a magma dragon.
I feel like that's what
But
every
good night.
evil people
Yes.
involves.
Good
Everyone,
night, everyone.
thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. Same time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Pacific next Saturday. Check out youtube.com/2perception for all of our content, or discord.gg/Squiddish. There's always a Pathfinder conversation going on in the channels of my personal Discord, or the Twitter has got links to, like, everything.
Things happen.
We'll see you guys later.
We're gonna do things.
We're a group of protagonists that are
We
good.
we are
We're the good
pro-tagonists.
guys.
So the good
I'm a
guys.
contracted hitman.
We're
Thank
the good
you.
guys.
I'm the good guy.
Good guys.